Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody, hello and welcome to the hottest show in all the club to watch, but with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise, clap it up, get excited. Wherever you are, we are back on this afternoon edition of The Watchable with me, your host Jean-Luc Welch, right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform imaginable. Yes, indeed, we're back and we got a jam-packed show for you today, as we do every single show that we have on this channel. We got to talk about the new whirlwind of developments that took place that now have confirmed who we have when it comes to Crawford and Canelo and the mega deal that Canelo has signed, as well as with a bunch of other stuff in the world of sports, like with the aftermath of one of the greatest NBA trade deadlines that we've seen in history, with Luka and AD going into, again, the Mavericks and to the Lakers. And now the aftermath of it all, what has transpired, whose odds have gone up, whose odds have gone down for being competitive in the landscape of basketball, as well as with much more on this show, like with William Scroll versus Canelo, not potentially signed on the dotted line. Why, in fact, is this happening, and much more on this show. We got Beterbiev versus Bivol, two that we have to discuss. We got Crawford, Terrence Crawford, and the new weight developments that we've seen on his Instagram. What does that mean for the fight? So much on the docket for the show today. So much on the line when it comes to history in the making. All seems to be well in the world of sports, and we can get our minds at ease and get ramped up for the excitement that's getting ready to come through from now up until May and beyond. Oh, we got so much to talk about in a short amount of time to do it. So, without further ado, shameless plugs right here to go. Leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire of a community together. That is right. This is the hottest place to be, the best show you can find in all of the YouTube and podcasting. It was absolutely, you don't want to miss what we have to offer, and we give a wide range of options. And please, if you're here, be sure, if you're watching on YouTube, chat your thoughts and opinions, your comments, whatever you want to discuss on the show, chat it right here. We'll be able to bring it up. We got everything working now. We got everything working with the delays, and we are good to go. So whatever you want to discuss, and don't forget, in the championship rounds, yes, indeed, make the show your own, and whatever you want to discuss, whether it's in or outside the sports landscape, we're here to talk about it all, absolutely, and we'll be here to give you the best opportunity to voice your opinions on whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to discuss, and we'll be sure, if I can talk about it, I'll be about it, absolutely, and we can have ourselves a good old-fashioned hoedown right here on the show and have ourselves a discussion on whatever you want to make, and make the show exactly what you feel, because again, as much as this is my show, it's yours as well, and you help make this show the best it can be. So again, thank you for tuning in, thank you for listening, and without further ado, all shameless plugs aside, we're also available on every podcasting platform imaginable, so please rate us 5 stars there and go listen to every single podcast that we've had and share with everybody, but with all that out of the way, we got news to cover, we got sports to talk about, and we got boxing to talk about first and foremost. And since we are talking about boxing, it is time to step into the ring. Oh yeah, that's right, ring the bell, let's get it started. Round 1 of this show going underway, yes indeed, and we have to talk about the whirlwind of news that has now flourished into everybody's hope for what we saw for the career of Canelo and for the mega fight between Canelo and Terrence Crawford. Now, I'm happy to announce, that fight is indeed officially signed and on. It's here. We've been going through the whole cavalcade of mess. Now we can definitively say it's set in stone. Crawford and Canelo are going to be fighting against you. Now, how did we get to this development? Well, if you saw last week on our show, what happened? We were in a situation where we broke on the show 18 minutes after it got announced, at least per Eddie Hearn. Canelo versus Tank ain't never taken that type of risk. But Canelo versus Terrence Crawford was off all of a sudden. Shocked everybody. Then Canelo versus Jake Paul was reportedly done, and it was signed. Then, not even an hour, was it an hour or a day after all of that broke, about midnight, that the next day, we then see bing bang boom. Jake Paul versus Canelo. That's no longer happening. That's off. And now we can officially say that all of this whirlwind and tornado of just uncertainty settled finally on Canelo Alvarez signing a 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh that will guarantee in September, I believe September 3rd or September 13th, that Terence Crawford and Canelo will indeed fight each other for the undisputed super middleweight titles. And potentially, this could lead to even further down the line with this 4-fight deal in place. Hey, the dream fights that we thought we may never see may actually come to fruition. So now that we're here, my gosh, it is a situation where what caused all of this to happen? What indeed made this drastic shift and change and the level of you? Y'all saw me on the show. I was livid. Oh, I was through the roof. Absolutely hot like lava. I was going and digging into the legacy of Canelo like no other rant I had been on this channel, because I was just destroyed internally and sick of it externally. Absolutely. But now we can look at this and say, Canelo used Jake Paul as a legitimate bargaining chip. Hey, my gosh. And some of you all on the show called it. Some of y'all called it. Some of y'all said this is probably a ploy. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker, because with what we had known about Canelo, this is the stuff he would be doing. He was about the money. He's been fighting about the money. Easiest fights, the biggest payday imaginable. Anybody but David Beterbiev, and now it seemed like anybody but Terence Crawford. But using Jake Paul as the bargaining chip to get Turki Al-Sheikh to give him, finally, all the money that he wanted. And again, the money is undisclosed. We don't know how much Canelo's getting for this 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh. We don't. Understand him. We don't know all the ins and outs. What we do know is that the amount of money that it took to get him on in any way, shape, or form, just in negotiating, was exorbitant, because he had been at odds with Turki Al-Sheikh, essentially feeling he was bigger than Turki Al-Sheikh, feeling as though he, as Canelo, as an entity, as a businessman, did not need the likes of Turki Al-Sheikh to get what he wanted. But just to cross into that threshold of talking, but the money already on the table was exorbitant. Then using Jake Paul as, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going out and I'll go across the street. We can get this mega fight done. Mega fight in terms of spectacle done right here and now. And shoot, called his bluff. That's what he did. Called Turkey's bluff to see what you're going to do. You don't give me what I want, or am I going to walk? Turkey called his bluff in kind and said, okay, fine. You want to do that? Fight's off. We'll announce to the world right now. Fight's off. We'll get Tank. We'll get, not Shakur or Tank. We'll get Terence Crawford versus Jerome Boots Ennis. We'll look to make that fight happen right now. Cool. And it seemed like that's the direction it was going. But in the latest hour, next thing you know, everything falls into place. The fight with Jake Paul and Canelo is off. The fight with Crawford and Canelo is back on. And Turkey signs Canelo to a 4-fight deal. Fully. Now, with this out the way, now that we understand how we got here, what are the implications of this 4-fight deal? And specifically, who are we going to see? Well, like I teased earlier, finally we're going to see him get in the ring on the road to undisputed once again. And he's going to fight, guaranteed, at least that's what's reported right now, fight William Scroll for his title to become a 2-time undisputed champion. Yes, indeed. That's what's in the mix right now. Now, hold on, pump the brakes. Not the brakes for a minute. Now, we had talked about William Scroll in the past. We had talked about how nobody wanted to see that fight. We have been brought up on this show, and in the grand scheme of the boxing ethos and environment, fans were saying, we don't want to see that fight. We don't care about that fight. Now, mind you, if you don't know who William Scroll is, William Scroll, I believe he's a UK fighter. I believe, I could be wrong about his origins, where he's from, but his record, I got down back. But it's 23-0, 8 KOs. Now, what people may not know about this buddy, he's got 400 amateur fights on his resume. Oh yeah, he's experienced similar to the likes of a David Morrell, but lacks all sorts of power. But does have some skill, at least when you have that level of pedigree in the amateurs. So, with that being the case, will he provide any sort of challenge? I don't know. We'll break it down later as the fight comes closer. And again, that fight will take place on May 3rd, right around the likes of Canelo's favorite holiday, Cinco de Mayo. I believe it's Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, I believe it's Cinco de Mayo. Or is it Mexican Independence Day? Either way, May is Canelo month. He runs the world when it comes to May. It is Viva Mexico all month long. And when that is the case, we didn't get to see. But it's going to run the show. But it's going to make a fight that is a spectacle, not just a celebration of culture, but a celebration of Canelo, and put the best of his foot out for display for the world to see. Hopefully ending in a knockout. Couldn't get done against John Ryder last time he fought on Cinco de Mayo, though. Hey, ooh-wee. Some stuff has some problems. Oh, my. In fact, some of his power as he's moved up in divisions, at least of recently, has not been the same level that we've seen in the past. But that's a whole other conversation for a whole nother day. When it comes to what we see with Canelo right now, we're looking at Canelo and we're saying, this is a fight. Do we berate it? Do we critique it? Do we hate it? Is this what we do not want from the likes of Canelo? Well, to answer that question, this is exactly what we should see from Canelo. And here's why I said it. Before I get into the explanation, let's look into the people in the chat below. Who's here and who's got something to say? Franklin Zana, how you doing? Glad to see you. Good that you are here on this afternoon edition of the Welch Report. Again, I'm so sorry. We had some technical difficulties. We had some issues with the camera. You couldn't see my beautiful face, and we want to give you the proper production value when it comes to this show. If it ain't worth seeing, it ain't worth doing. And we're going to make sure you get your money's worth or your time's worth when you do inevitably choose to watch this show. Again, the camera don't look good for nothing. Oh, we got to make, we keep everything as highbrow as possible. Absolutely. So I apologize. But now that we're fixed, everything's on the up and up, everything's hunky-dory, and everything is exactly where it needs to be. So I appreciate you still tuning in and listening and watching the show. Does my heart very well. And I'm going to give you everything I got for this next hour and a half or so. Just and believe that, but I appreciate it coming in. But let's see what you guys say. 400 amateur fights are wild. Again, it is insane. Lomachenko had 300 plus. David Morrell, who we talked about as the biggest opposition to against the likes of David Beterbiev, they were propping up his own amateur background. Though he only had 11 fights in his tenure, he had 130 plus amateur fights before coming into the pros. So this is where we maybe we are devaluing the likes of a William Scroll. Yes, he is not as exciting of a fighter, but again, he is somebody who is a mandatory for a reason. Beyond just the fact that we know the belt commissions, they'll just put anybody in any place for mandatory in some situations, right? Because they're all out the way, can be wrong and just perplexing at times. But in this situation, in a division where he's, in terms of Canelo, legitimately cleaned house, this is the best case, or the best option available. One of the best options available. It's just not exciting. Understandable. But regardless of which, 400 amateur fights is indeed impressive to say the least. And right now we're showing, hey, though he's not as exciting and as marquee of a name, completely understandable. Completely justifiable why fans may feel the way they feel. Let's not undervalue him though, as what a talent he potentially will be. Now I will go and look at his fights more closely. Now that this fight is indeed confirmed to happen in May, we'll do breakdowns. We'll study it. We'll get the whole ins and outs, and we'll do it on this show. No question about it. Oh, I promise you that it's gonna happen. And because it will happen, we're going to give you the best and most detailed analysis possible of what this brother can do. But regardless of which, going back to the conversation of the day, when we look at William Scroll and Canelo, this is a fight that we expected to happen. Did we not talk about this when we were going through the potential options for the dream best case scenario that we could see Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez get into? And one of the biggest things, Franklin, it might have been you that brought it up, or it could have been somebody else in the chat a couple episodes ago, but we talked about, could we see undisputed versus undisputed actively happen for Canelo and Terrence Crawford? And the way to go about that, we see Canelo go for undisputed the second time. Got the belt stripped from him by the IBF because he wouldn't defend against William Scroll, right, as a mandatory. And when he didn't do it, got ripped away. Now, fight him, get the belt back, And then in your next fight, Canelo versus Crawford, former two-time undisputed champion versus current two-time undisputed champion for the undisputed super middleweight title and for what would be an historic third reign, potentially, as a undisputed champion. That would be incredible. That would be phenomenal. That would be a spectacle that would write itself for the ramifications and the impact of this fight. Adding on to the already legacy-defining tenure or legacy-defining ripples that this fight would have in the historic context between these two, especially the ramifications if Terrence Crawford wins this fight, let alone if he knocks him out. Oh boy, we're getting excited. Oh, we're getting titillated. We are indeed getting our wishes granted, and our imagination can roam and truly flourish and fly with all the outcomes that potentially happen in this fight. Not to mention what could be one of the best cards of the year, potentially outshining the lights that we're going to see on February 22nd between the undisputed light heavyweight champion Beterbiev versus Bivol in a rematch of the ages that will feature Ajay Kabayel versus Big Bang Jang, Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker in a fight that will most likely guarantee the winner of this fight will get a mandatory opportunity at the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world against Alexander Usyk. Oh, we got ourselves a time and we got ourselves some history to be made, and I am so excited about that. But with this fight, William Scroll, it is indeed necessary. It is indeed expected. It is indeed required. If we truly want to have the ramifications of this fight be as big as we say it can be and as we think it should be. This is one of the things we touched on this show. And that's why it's going to happen. Could we see William Scroll get upset? Probably not. Most likely no. Most likely we'll see Canelo beat him. I can't even say knock him out anymore, but most likely we'll see him beat him. But regardless of which, this is a necessary road. So is this while this may look like it's falling in line with all the problems we've had with Canelo, not fighting optimal competition, consistently falling short of the expectations of his legacy and his talent and his stature and status at this point in his career, which is still one of the best in the world, pound for pound, top 10, still running the division and looking unstoppable at 168. Would this normally be a situation where we are saying, hey, we don't want to see this? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. But with what we see now on the other side of the spectrum, it's completely understandable, completely viable. And we can give this a pass because of what is coming next. We can give this go through it. Fine. For what's coming next. Because what's coming next is exactly what we want to see. It's everything that we want to see. Now, with that being the case, we have to look at what these other two fights are going to be. Because 2 of the 4 fights are now confirmed. William Scroll, Terrence Crawford. Great. Phenomenal. One's a dud, one's a banger, and the fight that we want to see. Now, after that's finished, depending on the outcome, what's going to be the other 2 fights on the card? What are going to be the other 2 opponents that Canelo's going to fight? How is this going to play out? What is going to transpire? And will we see Canelo fight big dogs for the U.S. after Crawford and on? That's the question. Because what we know about Turkey Al Sheikh, as I take my sip of drink today, what we know about Turkey Al Sheikh is the fact that this man, if you sign with him, you're getting tested. You sign for Riyadh season. You sign up to truly get yourself in the ring for these big paydays. Excuse me. I don't know why I did quotation marks. They are concretely big paydays. We're looking at Canelo most likely signing upwards of a $200 million fight deal for these 4 fights. Guaranteed, hypothetically. Since that's the case, we know if you do sign up for this, you're going to be tested. You're going to be tried. Also, Al Booger, what's up with it? How you doing? Glad to see you. Thank you for tuning in on this late edition of The Watcher Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. I'm so sorry. We had some technical difficulties. If you go through the community posts on the YouTube tab on my channel, I gave you updates. I kept trying to tell y'all stuff was messing up. Everything was going right. Updates had to be done. Camera had to be fixed. All this stuff. Finally, we got everything put together. And now, we're here to shine and grow. And I'm glad that you're here on this later edition. We're still going to be back on Thursday at our normal time because everything is working now. We ain't got no issue or struggle. But to digress, excuse me, I appreciate you coming through. Thanks for tuning in. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to give you the best that we got on this afternoon. Everybody coming off of work? Hey. Your time to shine and listen to me as you going throughout your day on your way home to go and wind down and relax, or just, hey, love to hear me just because I'm just that good. But I'm kidding. Let me not toot my own horn. Let me stay humble. No, I'm just giving you the best I got, and I appreciate you tuning in. But let's see what other people have to say on the matter. Could Turkey slip Beterbiev into the fort? And that's the biggest question. Could he slip him into the fort? Could he slip, or rather force, Canelo to have to fight David Beterbiev in this fourth fight deal? Now, that is a matter of outcome, but potentially. There's a lot of variables in this. It's not just a done deal that this is going to be the fights that are going to be signed. Let's say, hypothetically, Canelo loses to William Scroll. Now, what the word is going to be the case? Is it still, well, Terrence Crawford versus Canelo is the biggest fight, or one of the biggest fights? We're looking and saying, if that upset does indeed happen, would it not make sense to put Terrence Crawford versus William Scroll? And boom, undisputed, you have him there. Would that derail the likes of Beterbiev even getting an opportunity? Because now the Golden Goose is dead. The Golden Goose is dead because he's been beaten at his prime weight class. No excuses, no ramifications, no, oh my gosh, the brother just wasn't himself. Nah, he got beat at his own division. Similar like Jaime Munguia versus Saras. That was supposed to be an outright war on the side of Munguia that completely wiped away Saras. Boom. Comeback fight after fighting Canelo. You're back on top. Got momentum and everything. All of a sudden now, Munguia is, excuse me, now signed to have a rematch with Saras on the undercard of Canelo versus William Scroll. And if that does happen and he loses again, he, as a marketable star, he's at the back of the line. It can be bad. With Canelo, the same thing is in play. But everything going right, yes, it should be. Absolutely it should be. It's just no question. It's impossible that this fight wouldn't be the case. Because, like I was trying to say earlier, if you fight with Turki Al-Sheikh, you're guaranteed to get tested. There is no situation where you can just go and fly by without getting any sort of legitimate competition at your disposal. You will indeed be forced to fight the best of the best, somehow, some way. And with Canelo, that's what's going to be. It will have to be. Turkey said it himself. He said he only fights dogs, or paraphrasing, he only fights dogs. He only fights the best if he's fighting with me. That's what's happening. That's what's going to happen. And since that's going to happen, oh yeah, you bet your bottom dollar Beterbiev is going to be one of the last two fights that we see with Canelo. I promise you. I promise you. And it might just be the third fight. I'm so serious. It could be the third fight. It could, because hypothetically, paint this picture. The two biggest fights right now, most likely for Canelo, is Canelo versus David Beterbiev. Or excuse me, there's three big fights. Three, not two. There's three. Canelo versus David Beterbiev. Canelo versus Terrence Crawford. And then Canelo versus the winner of Bivol versus Beterbiev. Now, why is that third option still a big option? One, Canelo still wants his revenge in some capacity against Bivol. Two, though he lost, it would still sell out immensely if he got to fight either of them. Three, that could probably be his last hurrah because that's all he wants. And after that, it would genuinely be. It would make sense. as one of those two is going to be the person that he fights. And if we see Beterbiev or Bivol, whoever wins that fight, then face off against Beterbiev. And if Beterbiev beats him, and he is now the undisputed light heavyweight champion, now we can look and say, that's the fight that fight makes all the sense in the world. It would be almost a no-brainer. A no-brainer that we see Beterbiev versus Canelo if that indeed does take place. And that would happen as the third fight, because that would be the most pressing matter. More than anybody else. If we see Canelo get past Terence Crawford, that would be the most pressing matter imaginable. No bigger fight. At 175, with the Beterbiev that just beat either Bivol or Beterbiev, hypothetically, make all the sense in the world. And then afterwards, if, again, hypothetically, we see Canelo beat the likes of Beterbiev, then fight Beterbiev or fight Bivol as the undisputed light heavyweight champion. That's the best route I could see it happening. Like, at least in my opinion. So yeah, it's more than sneaking in. Turkey ain't gonna sneak it in. It's gonna be, you do this or you ain't getting paid. Either you take this fight or the contract's over. That's the only reason why he would get this is because the only reason why this fight would not happen is because somebody got injured. That's the only reason. But if Turkey's paying even more than he initially was already offering Canelo for not just a Terence Crawford fight, but for the multi-fight deal, as Canelo using Jake Paul as a bargaining chip to get the amount of money to accept this. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Beterbiev is a requirement. Beterbiev is not an option. Thank goodness that's the case, because now we can get all the fights that we want to see within the span of 2 years. Everything. That's all we asking for. And after that, Canelo, you can either choose to reign, you can retire, you can fight Jake Paul at that point, if you do indeed retire, after this deal's up. And then boom, hey, now we ain't got no problem. Retire from boxing, as like competitively, you've accomplished the sport. Sure, go ahead, fight Jake Paul now. Beat him up, kill him, for all we care. Then do whatever you want. No issue there, because now you've now done everything that was left to do in your career that we have been asking for as fans. So now exhibitions and those spectacle fights, we have no problem with at that point, because now you took care of business. You took care of business and you reached a crossroads of, do you wish to continue? As if it was a video game. Do you wish to continue or you opting out? You've done so much stuff, you can now opt out because you reached every requirement that we've been asking for, all that we wanted. Now, go ahead at that point if you choose to. But either way, in the immediate, Beterbiev is coming. Oh, he's on the way. Oh, he's on the way. I promise you, he's on the way. Even, I dare say, win, lose, or draw. If he loses the fight for undisputed at light heavyweight, he's still on the way to fight the likes of Canelo. I promise you. There's no way that fight doesn't get made. There's no way in this 4-fight deal. If it did, then at this point, Turkey's the fool. Because Canelo fleeced that brother out of potentially over $200 million. If that's the case, because now you sign this brother, the biggest star in boxing, understandable, but to not give him the fights that we wanted, outside of Terence Crawford on this level, you got fleeced. If you're Turkey Al-Sheikh, if he doesn't make that fight happen, he's got to. He's got to, and he's going to. I promise you, he will. I guarantee that he will. Do you think these multi-fight deals will work in favor of the fans? Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, that's a great next point. You have to understand these 4-fight deals and these multi-fight endeavors. Signing with Turkey Al-Sheikh is exactly what this sport needed. It's exactly what it needs. You have to look at the grand scheme of boxing as a whole. It has been, for over a decade, absolutely terrible. Again, we've talked about the Floyd Mayweather effect, the Floyd Mayweather era of boxing, more so the TBE era of boxing, when he wasn't taking big fights, when he was doing fighting people at the right time, going for the money, after the money only, not about legacy at that point in his career. And fans and fighters were indeed following and accepting that manner of operating in his career, as this is what boxing's supposed to be. That's stupid. We hated it. The long-standing fans of the sport hated that. Newer fans accepted it because Floyd was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not disrespecting Floyd. I would never disrespect Floyd. No, but this is the reality of the situation. Now with us coming out of that regime, and all of a sudden we've had more undisputed, within 2 years, we've had more undisputed champions I've seen in a decade. We've had a level of big fight consistency since 2023 that we haven't seen in who knows how long, even before Turki Al-Sheikh even got big on the scene. Now that he's here, we're seeing fights get made left, right, and center. Big fight after big fight. Undercards that are having fights that would be main events in almost every different situation, like Shakur versus Floyd Crawford, Big Bang James versus Caballero, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. That would normally be a main event fight. All of those would be main event fights. All of them. And we're getting those on the undercards of these mega events for undisputed fights. Rematches for undisputed. Rematches for pound number 1 and number 2 and number 3. Whatever the case may be. This is great. Because, again, how Turkey is operating, he is operating as if he was, he is operating as if he was Dana White. He's Dana White, but paying his fighters, compensating his people accordingly. That's what he's operating as right now. And that's what all we ask for. The UFC has consistently, for the past couple years, been whooping the butt of boxing. Yes, the biggest of boxing and the best of boxing will always clear the UFC, no question. But on average, on the whole, outside of those big marquee fights that rarely happen, UFC was whooping their butt. Hated it. When I say hated it, I mean the boxing world hated it. Because all of a sudden, they're pulling in big numbers, talk of the town, consistently getting mega type of events. Just about 5 times a year. More than 5 times a year. 5 times a year for the UFC is a low year. When it comes to big time, like acclaimed, anticipated fights between people that deserve to fight each other, that wasn't that wouldn't do that on the regular. Still are. Boxing, that was rare. Now under Turki Al-Sheikh, he's paying his people legitimately. But the pay comes at a cost of you got to test yourself against legacy. You do. And if you do, you get rewarded with a beeline to the title, a beeline to elevation, a beeline to getting your name in the book of legitimate history. That's what you are fighting for, but you got to go through the test. That's phenomenal. And so this is indeed in favor for the fans, because the fans are now getting exactly what they claim for. Regardless of whether you're a Tank fan or Tank hater, Canelo fan or Canelo hater, Terrence Crawford fan or hater, don't matter. Well, you can't deny that you seeing your favorite fighter finally going up against the best that is available, it does you some good. It makes you feel a level of uncertainty and anticipation, because you now aren't guaranteed as to who's going to win. This is great. And it's the best of the best being tested consistently. It's more than enough to make fans excited and happy. This is all we've been asking for. And now we're getting it. This is everything that we've been clamoring for. We're now getting it concretely under Turki Al-Sheikh. I'm not trying to paint him as a savior. I'm not trying to paint him as some larger-than-life figure. This is the reality of the situation. The brother came in to boxing and single-handedly made this sport what it initially was, about legacy and for the fans. And he's operating as if a fan was booking all of these fights. Give us the best against the best, and let's see what happens. And then from there, we move accordingly. It's plain and simple. You lose, you get another opportunity. You win, you get an even bigger opportunity. But either way, you don't. A loss doesn't define you, and a win doesn't solidify you wholly. You still got work to do. Hence, let's keep on putting you against people that are on your level. That's all we've wanted as fans. Hence, now it's happening. So yeah, this is phenomenal. It's incredible for fans. Are we any closer to having a schedule in place for fighters so that there's less downtime? That is more the case of the fighters individually. You have to understand, it used to be that you could get again, Sugar Ray Robinson, Mike Tyson, early Roy Jones Jr., and others that are like Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis. We can go back in time. They were fighting like 8-10 times a year. Tyson fought 19 times at 1 year, at one point. It was like ridiculous, the speed. But that was because of necessity. Now, which is still happen more often, but because of necessity, boxers had to fight more often. Not just to make a living, but also, actually, no, that was one of the main reasons, to make a living. Because you had to, it was your day job. You had to go every week, or every 2 weeks. You had a fight, and you had to book it. And you weren't getting paid nearly as much now, so you had to fight consistently. When it comes to the schedules of boxers now, that thankfully you're getting paid a whole lot more for risking your life in the ring, which I'm all about fighters getting money. But even to that degree, people are acting like commodities in some cases that aren't commodities. And because of that, that's where stuff gets sticky. Because it really is up to the fighter to look to want to make fights happen. Genuine. The fighter and his team. Now, in some cases, like with Dave Beterbiev, stuff is out of his control in some situations. I don't get the fights that I've been looking to get, and I'm still putting in work. But he's still putting in work and being active. That's the truth. And so when it comes to a set schedule, yeah, I can't say that we're closer to getting a landscape where there's less downtime. But what I can say is that for the time being, we are on the road to redemption in boxing, because now, even if the timetable is the same, the fights as of this moment are significantly bigger and are significantly more substantial. And even on top of that, you're still getting fighters that are looking to continually get in the ring now more than ever. It's the truth. Munguia just got beat by Sabas a couple months ago and is getting ready to rematch him this year. There ain't a lot of downtime. There's not a whole bunch of downtime between that. Israel Madrimov was getting ready to fight in December and against Virgil Ortiz this month in February. Back to back. He was getting ready to fight Bianchik. Remember the Bianchik who just beat up Ishmael? Like walked through him this December on the undercard of, I believe, Tyson Fury versus Usyk 2. But he went in and it was going to be Israel Madrimov that fought Bianchik. Bochuk, excuse me. Not Bianchik, Bochuk. Bianchik is fighting Keyshawn Davis. My apologies. When Israel Madrimov was getting ready to fight the likes of Bochuk and the likes of Virgil Ortiz in December and in February, back to back. Oh, that's insane. That's stupidity. In terms of, I say that in the best way possible. That's stupid to think of in the modern day of boxing. That's a route that you're willing to take. 2 killers back to back against the very people that had a fight of the year contender last year against each other. Oh, that's preposterous. But it's impressive. It's great. But we're seeing that happen more often. We're seeing people, even younger stars, getting in the ring more. Rising prospects are now fighting more often. I'm seeing their name in the landscape of legitimate competition. Floyd Schofield fighting Latif Shakur. Abdullah Mason's getting ready to have another fight. Janabek Ali Mahanila is getting ready to have a fight. It's stuff is ramping up and it's great. I love it. Finally, while I can't say that concretely we're going to get everybody fighting every single month, we are seeing, at least at minimum, if the status quo stayed the same, the quality is still being elevated. And that's the bare minimum that we've been asking for. Now, if you fight even more often, But that's even better. That's icing on the cake. At this point, from where we used to be to where we are now, oh gosh, I'll take this. I'll take this, absolutely, of what we used to have. So, shoot, even if it is the same downtime, the elevated level of quality, with all this downtime, this is what we've been asking for. If you're going to wait this long to fight somebody, at least fight somebody that is on your level, that has some risk, that you got to go and face off. And we're finally getting there. Yo, Craig Williams, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad that you are back here on the Welch Report at this later time stamp. If you saw some of the community posts and me trying to keep you updates, Cam was messing up, had to update a bunch of stuff, had to go through all these ins and outs, finally got everything fixed. So I apologize for not coming in on 12 o'clock. We will be back on 12 o'clock on the dot on Thursday, like we always do, 2 shows every single week. But trust and believe, this is an anomaly. But still, get it when you're getting off of work, hopefully when you're getting off of work, and you can still enjoy it on your ride home or wherever the case you may be. But what you got to say on the show? I like the fact that he wants to lower the price on pay-per-view buys. Thank goodness, brother. The February 22nd, Beterbiev versus Bivol, it's what, $19.99 in America? I think 25 pounds over in the UK. That's a steal. That is a steal. Oh my gosh. One of the biggest ways to make boxing more applicable to the rest of the world is to make it so that the everyman can actually see every fight, rather than having to pay Floyd Mayweather type prices for a fight that wouldn't even belong in Floyd Mayweather's own training camp. That's ridiculous. That is highway robbery. Thank goodness now we're seeing a landscape that is actively changing for the better, so that somebody isn't indeed robbing us blind. These fights, this is a card that I would pay $60 for. That's coming in February, coming on the 22nd. The fight card with Bivol and Beterbiev, I would pay $70 for that if it was charged, because that's quality worth the price. And now we're getting this at $19.99. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, that is insane. That is perfect though. I promise you. That could lead to even better. Again, I'm not a business major. I don't know as much about the financial state of others I don't know as much about the financial state of boxing and the business behind it as other people, other channels, and other experts. No problem there. I completely concede. But what I will say is that if you give quality product at a price that is indeed able to be consumed by the consumer, in the long game, that leads to stability. And that leads to genuine ability to have a loyal customer fan base. Hence, garnering more fans, garnering more long-term revenue. And then when you do offer bigger price tags for fights that are utterly monumental, it is more inclined that people will want to pay. Because, this is a premium price for a fight that is elevated above everything else that we've been paying for before. I understand it. Here's the money. Because this is actually worth it. Because even with the product that you've been giving me in the past, which has been elite, ain't at this level. And I get it. Let's make it happen. So yes, this is great. I love it. Thank goodness I love it. This is phenomenal for me. for me and for a lot of people, this is phenomenal. Oh, I'm so happy about it. Listen, how do you feel about paying $90 for Tank versus Welch? See, and that's where we have a problem. And that's where we have an issue. See, that right there is the exact epitome of why I'm so glad that we're seeing what's happening in boxing with Turkey, as opposed to what we're seeing now with Javante Tate. If you told me, again, this is a fight that you would not even hear about in sparring from Tank's camp, let alone in a legitimate big fight scenario. You mean to tell me I'm paying $90 for this mess? To what is it? 3 fights on the main card in a main event that ain't worth a dime? If I'm being completely honest, this should be a showcase fight. And this is not disrespect to Lamont Roach, but for the expectations of what we have of Tank and what we understand about Lamont Roach coming in, who just won a title, who just became a champion, who is more seasoned, and while he's a great fighter, he's at 130. You coming up to 135 against I don't even think it's arguable, the best puncher and best boxer at 135 at this point in time. Why in the world should we think that you have a chance at winning? And why is this a fight that we should value? Because of what we know is going to happen. No, this ain't worth $90. This is a farce at its finest. Dare I say, something in me told me maybe I shouldn't even watch the fight. I should just wait for the highlights to come. Or for somebody to upload it on YouTube hours after and then watch it afterwards. Because if you mean to tell me I'm paying $90 for that, dare I say even making an effort to go out to some place and see this, wasting gas money for this, oh, that's preposterous. And this is exactly why we say Tank is it's a facade of premium quality. Tank's brand for $90, that shouldn't be enough at this state in his career to make people say, oh yeah, let's pay just because it's Tank. This ain't even, like Mike Tyson's the only brother I could see to do that. Ali. Roy Jones Jr. That's it. It's a very short list, maybe a couple other names, but for $90 per fight that I know that they will win with easy work that isn't even remotely close to being, calling it competitive is a disrespect to competitive fights everywhere. That is a laughable thing. Laughable. Yet, it's what people will do. And so, no, I despise it with all my heart and soul. Oh, I hate it. I hate it to kingdom come. Absolutely. My goodness, it is terrible. But, speaking of Tank, great segue. We got some stuff to talk about with Tank. Because there is a man that can potentially go and fight the likes of Tank Davis come after Lamont Roach. And that could be Keyshawn Davis. Oh, yes, indeed. Keyshawn Davis is up this week, I believe this weekend, to fight the likes of Bianchik, not Bochuk, who I misnamed earlier in the show. But Keyshawn Davis is getting ready to fight Bianchik for, I believe, the WBO lightweight title. And if this does, in fact, take place, now we're at a crossroads of if he does win this weekend and Tank wins in, March? Is Tank going to actually call out Keyshawn Davis for a legitimate fight? Could that actually happen? Will we see that actually transpire? And good gosh, I hope it does. Because of everybody that we named, we've named Teofimo Lopez. We've named the likes of potentially Ryan Garcia. We've named, even Devin Haney as an option that we could see Tank call out and fight. We've even named the likes of Terrence Crawford to genuinely go and fight Gervonta Davis if he does in fact beat Lamont Roach. We've named all these people. Absolutely. But the issue is, I don't think we named the likes of Keyshawn Davis yet. And that's my undue diligence. Because I forgot, we talked about Keyshawn as a threat to Tank. We've talked about Keyshawn as having the tools to give Tank some legitimate competitive fervor. He's got the length. He's got the size. He definitely got the power because he just knocked out a 168-pound Lemos in 2 rounds, who I believe ain't never been stopped before. And even though he lost to Richardson Hitchens, Lemos was rocking Richardson Hitchens with every single shot all around the ring in an incredibly valiant effort. Some people even said it was a robbery that Hitchens won that fight. But regardless of which, we're saying now, we have Keyshawn at the cusp of potentially being able to fight Tank Davis. Now, will that actually happen? Will that actually transpire? And the question revolves around, will Tank call him out? Because Davis has been calling him out for who knows how long. Davis has been saying he wants the contract. Davis has been saying he'll do all this stuff, give me the fight. I'm right here. Make it happen. And I think it's going to take this win to actually make that fight transpire. And why is that? And more importantly, how this win needs to go about in order for him to get the correct opportunity to be in the forefront of Tank's mind. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me read off what you all have to say. Boxing suffers from bad planning. The other major sports utilize advertising by being available on local television. Boxing has boxed itself into a corner that remains non-fruitful. There is UFC has put on for ESPN and even for ABC prelim fights for big-time cards and or full cards that are small but still entertaining for people to see. They've done it. In the past, ABC used to host boxing before big-time college games. It would be 1 o'clock. You watching Ali fight for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then right after at 4 o'clock, you're watching Syracuse versus Alabama or Notre Dame at a primetime spot or vice versa. Now, granted, landscape of media was different. The landscape of sports was different. And the landscape of how it was broadcast and what was indeed at the forefront of the, in this case, for this specific topic, the American conscience. Again, boxing is not only relegated in America, but specifically with American history, with how it's been perpetuated here in the States, which is a big reason why it's lost a lot of appeal. And what used to be everybody around the globe knew who the best in the sport was. It's not the case no more. And big part of it is because in America, it fell out of favor because of how the sport priced itself out of the conscience of America. It indeed did happen. It's indeed bad. Absolutely. But with that being said, when it comes to marketing, and real quick, and we'll get back on the Gervonta Tank Davis topic. When it comes to marketing, this is a sport that, unlike the UFC markets its brand, and the brand is what you want to see. The brand has John Jones. The brand has Ilya Tapora. The brand has the likes of, even though it's trepidation, major trepidation, Conor McGregor. It has the likes of, what formerly had the likes of Donald Cerrone. Alex Pereira. Is Israel Adesanya, though he just got knocked out and he's on a 3-fight losing streak. We don't know where his career may be. At this stage right now, it's in flux, major flux. But regardless of which, you have all these different people. Alexander Volkanovski is still big. Israel Makhachev is huge. Pound for pound best in the world right now in my estimation. Charles Oliveira, Kamaru Usman. Stipe just retired. But other greats in all divisions. Female division, on and popping. Small weight classes, on and popping. But it's all within the brand. Tom Aspinall, heavyweight, it's all in the brand. The brand houses all of that. And the brand is what's marketed, and people identify with the brand. Now with boxing, it's more so the fighters are individual contractors, which I love because we're seeing everybody be able to get their money and act like their own business, which is, again, wants you to get the best and the most that you can get. No question. But with that in mind, what that leads to is genuinely an opportunity to where now, if you are you're only marketing the fighters and not the sport, people will only care about those specific fighters and not the sport as a whole. Hence why everybody in boxing that isn't Canelo, that isn't Tank, that isn't Terrence Crawford, or that isn't Usyk are deemed bumps. Everybody, no matter how much you got at your disposal, is deemed as somebody who is they're laughable. Why is he fighting them? You ain't got no names on your resume. You ain't fought this, that, and the third because you're not Ryan Garcia, because you're not Gervonta Davis, because you're not Devin Haney, because you're not any of these big-time box office names. You don't matter because the sport isn't marketed as the whole. It's marketed as an individual, a case-by-case and fighter-by-fighter perspective. That's how they've been pushing it. And when that happens, everybody who you don't market gets deemed as nothing. And even when promoters are supposed to promote, they don't promote if you're not a big-time star like they're supposed to. That's the truth of the matter. That's the biggest problem with this sport. Well, one of the biggest problems with the sport. You're marketing it as you're marketing the sport as not the sport, but just the fighter. Just because it's not a whole coalition or it's not a whole quote-unquote league that this thing falls under. to know where to go and see the best of the best, and everybody in the rest fight. That's the case. Even when it was without a league or without a coalition way back in the day, still everybody knew who was fighting because the sport as a whole was branded. Even though the biggest stars were at the forefront, the entire sport was helped to be uplifted. And everybody cared about everybody because the sport was the thing that the sport was the thing that mattered, not just the fighters individually. Yes, you had headliners and people are bigger than others, but on the whole, everybody had a part to play, and everybody has some level of weight because everybody was a part of the sport. And that's what kept everybody engaged. Now with boxing, that's not the case no more. It's slowly getting back there because we're seeing so many different big time fights finally start to come to fruition constantly on a day by day basis. Now we're seeing, boom, we're getting a semblance of continuity that everybody can buy into. Okay, this is boxing, not just this is Canelo. Oh, this is boxing. Not just this is Tyson Fury. Not just this is Tank Davis. No, we're starting to get a bigger picture in the minds of fans, both casual and more fervent, that this is boxing as a whole. Everybody throughout all weight classes are getting busy with the best people available. And it's more than just the one or two that we should care about now. Because there's been some legitimate big-time shakeups that has everybody genuinely looking and seeing what's going on in the whole of the sport. Because now the whole of the sport is starting to get legitimate acclamation because it's starting to get marketed as such. Not nearly to the degree that it should be, but it's starting to get there off just the basis alone that the fights of quality are now being made on a consistent basis, at least more consistent than what we expected. So it helps. It ain't perfect. Oh my gosh, it helps so much. So it helps so much. My goodness. But let's see what people have to say. Do you think Keyshawn is ready to be in the ring with a fighter of the caliber of a Tank? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Hold on. I'm going to answer that, but give me 1 second. Let me go answer this because I think this falls in line with what we just finished talking about. Do you think they should bring back the same-day weigh-ins for boxing because they could fix any problems with rehydration clauses that I think some people are annoyed of? Yeah. And it also, I've heard Showbiz the Adult say this. I've heard Teddy Atlas say this. With same-day weigh-ins will force people to fight at their weight class that they are actually close to. No more, or cut down on the weight bully allegations that we've heard so many times. Because now, hey, brother, you can't, if you miss weight on the day of the fight because you try to come in bigger, shoot, that's the problem. And even if you can't rehydrate nearly as much in less than a day than you can a full day. So you would be well and good advised to fight where your actual weight can be. So you don't risk missing out on opportunities and missing out on money. Hence, now you're fighting at the weight class that you are indeed supposed to be at. And if you can move up and dominate, it's even more impressive. Because now we know where we know where truly your baseline is. And if you can elevate beyond that, good gosh, my word, true insanity. And so I would love it. I hope they bring it back. They need to bring it back, if I'm being completely honest. Because it would just help the sport as a whole. Because imagine, now you're getting a bunch of people that are genuinely winning only because they are bigger than where they're fighting. Their talent is their talent, understandable. But they're winning because they're bigger than their opponent on the day of the fight. The fighter that you're training for ain't the fighter that you're walking in for. Because it's a completely different person in some cases. Because of the size difference. It just balloons up. And for some people, they have that capability, hence they take advantage of it. Is it the nature of the game? Yes. But is it a problem? Also, yes. Will it force them to have to be more mindful of where they want to fight? Absolutely. And I would love that. fight where you're actually supposed to be. And if you can dominate same day weigh-ins and stay at a smaller weight, more power to you. If you can fight through the stress of having to be drained and still win, even more power to you. Again, add to the impressive nature. Great. But it'll cut down on weight bullying, cut down on fighters not being where they're supposed to be, and make for a more competitive nature all around. Because everybody will be comfortable, and everybody's comfortable. Everybody can fight at their best. That's all we want to see. The best fighting the best at their best. That's the biggest thing. But let's see. Do you think Keyshawn Davis, going back to Franklin's honest question, do you think Keyshawn Davis is ready to be in the ring with the lights or with, excuse me, oh gosh. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. I messed all that up. Let me try again. Do you think Keyshawn Davis is ready to be in the ring with a fighter the caliber of Tank Davis? That's a great question. And I would say yes. But it depends on this next fight. The reason why I say that, before we got into the diatribe with boxing, branding, and all that stuff, we were initially going to talk about what it would take for Keyshawn to get in the ring with Tank, for Tank to call him out. And it depends on the win. And his readiness also depends on this win. History, going back through history. Remember, he knocked out a 168-pound Lemos, who rocked Richardson Hitchens to Kingdom Come all fight long before Hitchens finally moved up. So he's got the power, got the size, he's got the skills and the length, everything that we see happening. Oh, and by the way, for show. What's good with you? How you doing? Glad that you're tuning in to the show. Absolutely. But right now we're talking about Tank Davis versus Keyshawn Davis. If in fact Keyshawn is ready for this fight, and the answer revolves around what can he do against Beterbiev? If he can knock out Beterbiev in the same dominating fashion that he did against Lemos, and in quick fashion, and outbox him and beat him, oh, phenomenal, incredible, love to see it. Absolutely. Beterbiev a warrior. Beterbiev is currently WBO champion. You get a title and you win in dominant fashion, now you're unavoidable. Because with Lomachenko out, with Shakur already locked up, and with Teofimo Lopez moving up already, he has definitively thrown himself into the ring of the Tank sweepstakes. He's a viable option that is legitimately looked at as one of the only options. And if we do see him knock out Beterbiev in dominant fashion, win in an absolute spectacle, I'm talking about looking the best he ever looked, or looking or at least on par with what we saw in his last fight. Yeah, I would say he's ready. Now, you can say he may not be better than Tank. No issue there. But to say that he's ready, absolutely, I'd say that he's ready. No question. No question, I would say that he's ready. The time is now, especially with Tank being, again, getting ready to get out of here. Oh, he's getting ready to go on over to the other side. I promise you that. It's happening. It's indeed. Don't forget. Don't forget that Tank's on a ticking time clock. The time's winding up. Oh, it's getting ready to be the end of the era of Gervonta Davis. He is about to clock on out of here. Not in death, but into retire. We want him to live a long and a happy life, but his career is getting ready to be over. Put in the grave. It's about to be done by his own volition. So he ain't got time to say he ain't ready. We don't have time to say that he is or is not ready. Brother, you're ready now, because if you don't get it now, you're never going to get it at all. So yeah, he's ready. Ain't no waiting 3 more fights. Ain't no trying to get more tune-ups. You win this fight. If you can get the fight with Tank, you get the fight with Tank, and you get it as quickly as you can, because there will not be any more time to prepare. There won't be. And you have already proven that the biggest thing to give Tank some opposition is if you got power to put him into a respectful position. Not just in terms of respect, like he respects anyway. Oh, that brother can fight. But from a power perspective, he can think that he's better than you. No issue. He can think that he'll beat you to Kingdom Come. No problem. But in the ring, if he knows that you got some power that he has to worry about, there is a level of respect that he has to go about fighting in his way. And that leads to some opportunities for you to be successful. He was respectful of the power and speed that Ryan Garcia brought to the table. He was respectful of the power that Rolly Romero had at his own disposal. He even said that Rolly Romero was the hardest puncher he's ever faced off against in his career. He had to respect that. Rolly Romero won rounds because of that respect alone. We have to understand it. It's not just that Tank just whitewashes everybody. No, he whitewashes people. Don't get it twisted. But you can beat him if you got something that he's got to worry about. If you can make him think more than he already does, it's not going to guarantee that you win, but it puts you in a lot better position to get a win under your belt. Because if he's got to worry about power more than anything, it slows that brother down. It makes him hesitant. It gives him a cause for alarm that normally he doesn't have to go through. Normally he's just dissecting, figuring you out, letting and understanding what you're going to bring to the table. But you can't. You can dissect all of that, but you can't prep for power. You got to either take it or it takes you out. Plain and simple. That's what it does. You can't prep for power. You can't prep for strength. You can't prep for devastation. You can't prep for elite level damage. The only thing you can do is prep to avoid it or know what to do. But even when you know what to do, it's going to hit you. It's going to hit you even when you do everything right. Because of that, it's caused people to think and react completely different. Game plans have changed. Jermell Charlo, his whole demeanor changed the second he felt the power of Canelo at the drop of a hat. The brother never fought like a cub, fought like a punk, fought like somebody that didn't want to be in the ring, fought like somebody that was simply willing to survive. Because I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of what Canelo's giving me. I don't want no part of what that level of power coming down the pipe against me. I can't take that. No. It'll change you. It'll change you. It will change you. It'll change you to somebody you never thought you would be. I'm so serious. That's what power can do to you. It's the ultimate equalizer. It will make anybody, no matter how good or bad you are, seem and all of a sudden operate in a completely different light. And it will make a bad fighter. If you got power, it'll make a bad fighter still somebody that can put you on high alert. That's what power does, and that's what power has done to Tank. It's made him think and made him concerned. It made him have to worry about something that he can't control. He can control the traps. He can control the distance. He can control countering. He can control his head movement. He can control his feints. He can control getting and baiting you. He can control all that. But he can't control the power that you have. He can only control if you can land it. But he can't control that you got it. Because he can't control that you got it, it's something he's got to respect. And if he's got to respect it, he's got to think even more. There's some chances that he won't take that he normally would take strictly because of the power. There's some game plans that he normally would use and that he couldn't use because of the power that you got at your disposal. That's the biggest thing that Keyshawn Davis has got in his arsenal. That on top of his skill set can be a very dangerous thing for Tank to have to fight against. Is Tank a better fighter? Absolutely. But that doesn't change the fact of what the threat level is for Keyshawn Davis. He's got everything that you need to give Tank a world of trouble. Length, speed, power, footwork, good defense, and the ability to put you out. The ability to put you out at the drop of a hat. Because if he's got the power to put out a 168-pound Lemos, who intentionally came overweight for this fight, or for that fight, and he put him out in 2 rounds, that ain't nothing to scoff at. That's something that, hey, brother, we talk about you being pound for pound one of the strongest punchers in boxing. I just showed that my power can transcend weight classes against somebody that intentionally came in at the weight of Canelo Alvarez, who I believe had never been knocked down in his career in terms of Lemos, and I knocked him out in 2 rounds. I showed my power transcends this class and beyond. I showed my power can touch and damage the likes of which you would never dream of even facing. Do you really want to test yourself against me? That's the thing that type of just inkling gets you to think. And if you can get Tank to think more than he already does, you got a shot at winning. Absolutely. You got a shot at winning. And so, yeah, Keyshawn Davis, the brother's ready. Oh, he's ready right now. And I want to see that fight. And he better get that fight after we see the likes of Tank beat and knock out Lamont Roach. Unless an upset happens. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we having a whole new conversation about Lamont Roach and Tank. If Lamont Roach beats Tank, but that ain't going to happen. Most likely. Almost assuredly. So, get in the ring with a brother who is young, hungry, strong, long, and indeed powerful. That can give you one of the best fights of your career. Make it happen. That's what I say. Make it happen. Listen, do you think Beterbiev will follow through with fighting the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol? If so, does he win? Oh, he's following through. Again, the whole reason why he went back and turned down the likes of fighting against, the whole reason why he turned down the likes of going back down to 168 to fight against Canelo, if that fight would indeed happen, is because he's determined. Like, this is his career now. This is who he is now. He is a 175 pounder. There is no going back now. He's going to be and stay as a 168 pounder. Or excuse me, a 175 pounder, a light heavyweight. And he's earned the shot at fighting for the undisputed title, something that he did not get when he fought at 168. And he has already been named the mandatory. He has been guaranteed by the belt commission themselves that he will get a fight on the winner of Bivol versus Beterbiev. Even with Turkey Al-Sheikh saying that there will be a rematch if we see Bivol beat Beterbiev. There will be a trilogy. That trilogy will come after Benavidez gets a shot. Not before. So you better, he's getting that fight. He's assuredly going at it. He will follow through because this is his determined path. This is the very thing he's been looking for. It was versus Canelo last time, but now it was the whole point was undisputed. He didn't care if it was Canelo or not. He just wanted the best available competition, and if undisputed is in my grasp, I want it. Only reason why he couldn't get it was because Canelo had all the belts in the commissions for over 3 years, wouldn't make him the mandatory, even though he beat everybody under the sun. So yeah, he's taking it. And when he takes it, if he wins it, Canelo, if he wants that fight, he's going to come back up there. Now, does he win? That's the good question. I would have him beating Bivol more than I would have him beating Beterbiev. But does he have the capacity to win? Absolutely. To keep it simple, I don't think he would win against Beterbiev. I think he loses that. Absolutely. But against Bivol, there's still an opportunity that he loses that fight. Absolutely. He would still be the underdog. But it's more likely that he wins that fight than if he fights Beterbiev. I'm sorry. It's more likely that he wins that fight than he fight. And I love Benavidez. I love what he's evolved into. He's turned into a complete fighter now. From his jab to his defense to his footwork to his, again, ability, his blocking ability has gotten better. His head movement has gotten more instinctual and deliberate. His combinations are just as well. The worst thing about him right now is his stamina, because the brother still gets tired at this elevated level of competition because of the elevated weight. He was getting tired against Morrell, just like he got tired against Kavasi, because the output is ridiculous. Nobody at light heavyweight's putting out that level of output for all fight long. Nobody. Nobody at 168 was doing it. There's very few people in this era that are doing that level of work for all 12 rounds. He's an anomaly. And he's trying to do that same thing at 168. It is at 175 and light heavyweight. It is working, yes, but it's still, he's got to adjust. There's still a level of gas tank that he hasn't unlocked in him. He may not ever get it. Who knows? But whatever the case may be. With what he's operating right now, he's about as complete as I've ever seen him in his career. And I love that. I love that for him. But because of that, I'm more likely that he would beat the likes of Bivol. Output for output. combination for combination, walking him down. Hey, I could see that happening. I couldn't see him beating Beterbiev if he fights the same way he's been fighting just because of who Beterbiev is. If you trade for trade against him, oh, he's breaking you down. Beterbiev is the only brother I know that can break down Benavidez and beat Benavidez at his own game. Yes, that's the only brother. Bivol can't do that. He ain't got the power to do that. He doesn't. He can beat you, absolutely, but not to break you down. Beterbiev is the only man that can beat Benavidez into submission at 170. He's the only brother. Because Morrell couldn't do it. And Morrell was supposed to be the most physically imposing brother that we had seen Benavidez fight. And he got whooped to Caleb Cup. There was no competition. There was no level of competition. It was a good fight, don't get me wrong. But in terms of when you look at the scorecards and when you rewatch the fight, oh yeah, no, there wasn't any doubt. Benavidez is the better brother. And Benavidez beat him without power that we normally see him have. He beat him completely, utterly and completely. He got rocked and recovered within 10 seconds and turned the fight and turned that situation around and still won the round by the end of the fight, or by the end of that round. And walked through like nothing happened for the rest of the fight. And the only other time he got rocked was when he got caught with a shot after the bell by Morrell in a dirty trick. So, he got beat utterly and completely. And Benavidez, because of that performance, Benavidez is the only brother I see that can beat Benavidez at his own game. Bivol can potentially beat him by boxing, no question. But at his own game, Benavidez is the only brother that can do it. Only brother. And it will be walk him down versus walk him down. It'll be a knockdown, drag out brawl. I'll guarantee you that. I guarantee you that if they fight against each other, oh gosh. Oh, it's gonna be a car crash of every proportion. I'm excited for it. But Benavidez is losing that if it's against Beterbiev. Against Bivol, he's still more likely to lose. But he's more on the end of he could upset and win with that type of matchup. So that's the best I got in answering that. But again, we still got more to discuss on the show, like with the likes of Terrence Crawford and his newly found weight as he's waiting for the day he fights Canelo at 168. Currently, he is at 186 pounds, at least per a couple days ago, on his Instagram. Now that we see that being the case, what do we feel about Crawford being able to be more powerful than Canelo? That was one of the biggest questions, was it not? Was that not one of the biggest concerns when it came to the likes of Canelo versus Crawford? Looking at the landscape of that fight, the size difference was something that was insurmountable, seemingly. Canelo's too big. Canelo's too strong. Canelo's going to be able to walk through. There's nothing that we can see Crawford do from a physical standpoint. And if Crawford only is able to rely on boxing, can he win? Absolutely, because it's Canelo, or because it's Crawford, but that's a whole different can of worms than if you can match him or at least get relatively close to his physically impactful nature of Canelo. Could Crawford get to that? Well, now we see Crawford fighting close to 190, fighting close to cruiserweight right now in training for this fight. Will this be the turn to make this fight on an even playing field? Or do you think that this is going to be something that, like the concern with other fighters in the past, we see that fighters put on weight, they're not the same? Is that something that we can see right now from the likes of Terrence Crawford with this incredible weight jump from 154 now to 186, and then the cut weight to get to a fit and prime 168? That's it's a legitimately good question. Also, shameless plug aside, if you haven't already, go ahead and like the stream. Absolutely, keep on commenting all your thoughts that you have on everything that we're talking about right now on the show. And please leave a like on the stream. We're making progress. We're doing great. We got 10 people in the chat. We can make it 20, 30, 40, 50. All thanks to the algorithm. If you like the stream, it'll push you out to people, and to share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire. Subscribe to the channel if you would, so we can go on and keep building up this community together, all because you all make this possible, and I love doing this for you. Again, we're are late today because of the fact that I had some problems with the camera. But we're all set and ready now. Everything's all well and good. And we're still going to give you this last, hour, roughly 45 minutes to an hour if we go that long. We're still going to give you the best work that we can with what we got late into the day as you wind down on your afternoon and night. Oh, trust and believe. We ain't going to hold you long. We're going to hold you to be entertained. Absolutely. But with all that being said, if you would, comment in the chat and voice your opinions on the likes of Terrence Crawford being at 185 right now in training camp. And with me, in my feelings of it all, it's necessary, absolutely. And I think he's going about this the right way from his standpoint of getting big for the fight. Absolutely. Now there is another facet to that. While I'm happy that he's already at 186 and gonna cut down to a fit but comfortable 168, hypothetically, with how he is going about this prepping for the fight. The only thing I don't like about this is the fact that he's not getting a tune-up fight. That's the biggest concern, because we talk about weight being a problem for other fighters. Moving up and moving down can be an incredibly detrimental thing. Moving down, perfect example, we saw the likes of Roy Jones Jr., we've said it multiple times, got up there heavyweight, dominated, moved back down to 175 immediately to fight. Won, but then lost, and it was never the same because his physical capabilities was too much, or rather what got taken away. When it comes to the likes of Canelo, perfect example, moved up to 175 the first time against Kovalev, knocked Kovalev out. Was Kovalev older? Yes. Was Kovalev still a big threat to Canelo? Absolutely. Because he was still, from a power standpoint, was still a killer. And was still tough. How in the world are you going to be able to beat the likes of that? He knocked him out. Impressive. Phenomenal. At 175. Now, at the older age, a couple years afterwards, tried to move back up to fight the likes of Bivol. And what happened? Got outboxed, got outclassed, and couldn't use nowhere close to his normal full array of skill sets that we know Canelo has at his disposal. And then since that was the case, what did we see? We saw the likes of Canelo look sluggish, look slow, get tired, relegated to just shelling up, and was essentially nothing like the Canelo that we had known him to be. Beyond just getting outboxed by Bivol, he himself looked the worst we had seen from what the standard of him normally is. When he went back down to 168, the weight class he was comfortable with, thrived. So both examples, moving up in weight can be too much, moving back down in weight can be too much. Which spectrum will we see Terrence Crawford follow? Will we see him thrive moving up? Or will we see him struggle at moving up? Could we see him thrive at moving up, but then if he tries to move back down, now his body's never the same, and he's no longer Crawford, and he loses because the reaction time, the power, the ability to operate as a boxer that we know you are is no longer applicable because you can't do it because something got stripped away from you in either to move up or to move down. That's the biggest concern. And how do you gauge that? You go and you fight the likes of somebody at the weight class you're moving up to. We'd love to see a tune-up. Even at 160, that would be phenomenal. It ain't got to be great. It can be against a bum. Don't matter to me. Just get in the ring and fight at this new acquired weight to get comfortable, to get acclimated, to understand in an actual full-blown situation, a real contextual situation, not just in training, not just in sparring, not just in a controlled environment, in a fight with ramifications, in a fight that has risk all attached to it, in a fight that counts. How are you going to be able to operate? That's what you need to understand about you. Hence, tune-ups are incredibly important. Canelo versus William Scroll, even though it's for a title, many people are looking at it as a tune-up for the likes of Terrence Crawford. Because you're at least getting something in before the ultimate big affair that you're looking for. You're staying active. Like we talked about activity earlier in the show. This is what we're looking at. And because this is what we're looking at, we have to say, Crawford, if you are looking to go and stay at 168, but you're not going to fight in any way, shape, or form before the actual fight night, There is some trepidation that I have with your ability to still be who you are, because if you're just going out the gate, all gas, no brakes, on the only time you've been at this weight division before without any level of understanding how you're going to operate in a live fight situation, there is some concern. There is a problem. There is some level of real, I'm going to say it, there's some level of fear. Because you won't be able to be the best Crawford you can be potentially. Because of because of what you don't know. You don't know what you're going to be. You don't know how you're going to operate. You don't know where you are going to be as a boxer on the night of the fight at that new weight class, because there's no test run to be done in a live setting beyond just training camp. It's two different approaches. I don't know which one's going to be better. I'm always going to favor activity versus just straight up in training alone. But but again, Crawford's a special breed. Crawford has deadlifted 600 pounds. Crawford has a background in wrestling. Crawford has been able to, pound for pound, has been able to be one of the strongest fighters in the world. No question. No comments or concerns. There is a legitimate situation that we're looking at Terrence Crawford and we're saying pound for pound from a strength perspective, he is on par with anybody in the world. He's an anomaly of a physical specimen. He's got the dog in him and has the ability to bring out superhuman levels of strength, conditioning, elevated level of IQ, a sixth gear in every facet of his very being, of his very nature, of the very essence of him. He's a different breed entirely. But with that different breed, at some point in time, it's still going to be a situation where that's going to be tested. There's going to be a limit. There's going to be a manner of strain that is going to be put on you to where how far can this dog really take me? This is one of those times. This is one of those stopgaps. This is one of those key plot points that's going to stretch and strain truly how much dog he's got inside of him. Not just because of the competition, but because of the circumstances surrounding this. Mind you, there is no rehydration clause in this fight. There is no weight clause in this fight outside of 168. It is a normal super middleweight fight. All types of physical advantages are all on Canelo. It's the truth. It's the truth. And because that's the case, Crawford, with understanding where you are, who you are, and also who you're getting ready to face, you at 186 looks great. I'm happy. I'm glad you can get there. I'm glad you can get there and train. But if you can't sustain that in a quality situation against your biggest opponent that you may ever have in your, no, scratch that. It's the biggest opponent you're going to have in your career. Let's be perfectly frank. Terrence Crawford is let's be completely honest. Terrence Crawford is going to blow Errol Spence out the water in terms of competition level. There is no equivalent when it comes to that. Terrence Crawford is about to face the biggest monster in his career. There's no question. No question. This is the biggest test that Crawford will ever take in his career. Bar none. Bar none. And he's beaten Amir Khan, Kell Brook, Errol Spence, Sean Porter. He's beaten Gamboa. Before Gamboa went off the deep end in terms of his career, he beat Gamboa when Gamboa was undefeated at his best. He's beaten people bigger than him, absolutely. He ain't beating people with the size and skill level of somebody like a Canelo, who is also in the pound for pound greats of today and is nigh unbeatable at roughly 20 plus pounds heavier of a weight class, who's faced off against people that are killers at a weight class that's even above this. I mean, this is not, I'm not trying to downplay Crawford's ability. I'm being real. Crawford is about to be in the biggest fight of his career. And because of that, we want to see the best, don't we? I don't care who you root for, but I want to see a good fight. And since that's the case, brother, we got to see if this actually takes place. And if it's going to take, well, not if we got to see if it takes place. It's going to take place, but we got to see what Crawford's working with in a live setting. And I would love to see that in a tune-up fight of any capacity, rather than him just going and fighting immediately. Now, if he does this and still wins, again, it adds to the incredible nature of this potential upset that would shake up the very foundation of all-time great and GOAT conversations. It would, if he does this. You would just add to the context of the grandeur of the moment, the overarching ripple effects that will transcend this era and beyond. The cornerstone chiseling shift that this would do. The tectonic shakeup that would have people dropping and moving in the all-time great conversation. If he does indeed win this, would boggle the mind. Utterly insane. But I want the best for Crawford. I want the best for Canelo. And I want the best fight possible. That all requires, for me, personally, take a tune-up. Please. Please take a tune-up. Just to understand what you're working with at this new weight. Because if you don't, it could be something that your body may fail itself. And you didn't know until the night of the fight. It could be very well be that type of situation. But let's see. M's, is that M's? Is that how you say it? MS? M's? What's this say M's for the matter of time? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. Happy that you tuned in to the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Again, normally we're here at 12 o'clock. We had some technical difficulties that had us start at 5 o'clock going into 6:30. Most likely we'll go until 7. But I appreciate you tuning in to the show. What you got to say on the matter? Munguia versus Bruno Siras. Rematch confirmed on Canelo's main undercard. Let's go, Bruno. Oh, wow. Okay, so you want to see another, would it be called an upset in this situation? You want to see a repeat of history, and you want to see Munguia put down and put out yet again, do you? It's going to be interesting. Again, we've talked about Munguia before. Munguia's career is in the balance when it comes to a marquee star in this division. Getting upset by somebody with only 4 KOs that you were supposed to be able to walk through and showed everything that you learned from your fight with Canelo. And you go out like that. That is incredibly damaging. It's incredibly damaging to the momentum of your career. You got a chance to put it straight. But my gosh, my goodness, if you don't, if you don't, and Bruno Siras wins, hey, Bruno just guaranteed himself a marquee name. But it's guaranteed himself an opportunity at mega money. Genuinely. At 168, but it becomes a legitimate option for big name fights. If he wins this rematch on the undercard of the very man that beat Munguia and didn't knock him out, you knock him out twice? Hey now, oh boy. But that might be enough to put yourself in the hat to fight Canelo himself. If you knock out Munguia twice after Canelo, again, let him walk essentially by his own volition, carried him, and you just ended the job 2 times in a row, man, that's impressive. Again, I ain't got a dog in the fight. I'll be perfectly frank. But I will be very interested to see if we see a Munguia that indeed has evolved like we thought he should have already. Or a Bruno Siras that now has popped the clutch in his career. And all of a sudden has put himself in line to be, dare I say, a comparable threat to many unexpectedly in the super middleweight division. It's exciting, and I can't wait to see it. Absolutely. We're going to see how that transpires, no doubt in my mind. Also, we got to talk about Beterbiev versus Bivol, don't we? Let's not forget, that's happening, shoot, in what, a couple weeks? It's happening in a couple weeks. Bivol versus Beterbiev, the rematch of them. And it's going to be an insane situation where we're looking and we're saying, now that we have this fight truly in the grass, I need to ask this question again to you, the public. Do we see Bivol being able to win? Do we see a rematch coming out with Bivol overcoming the one blemish on his career? Can he go and topple the monster that is Beterbiev, in your opinion? Because this is a real situation where he boxed the best he could and he couldn't do anything. He inevitably succumbed, just like every single other opponent that we see Beterbiev face off against. He's more driven than ever. Oh, he's angry. Oh, he's livid. He's had some outside problems in the world of his personal life. We never touch on that, but that may fuel him internally inside of the ring. He's got all the drive in the world, and he sees what he's done wrong. But the question is, can he even change those mistakes? And they may not have even been mistakes. It could be, brother, you just got beat. Genuine. You just got beat. And since you just got beat by a brother who inevitably did the same thing that he's done to every other opponent, the concern is there's nothing he can do. Genuinely. The concern is there's nothing he can do, because the only thing that he could really do to score and be more fervent in his win is to take more chances. Let's be real about it. I'm serious. We have to be real about this. He's the best way that he'll be able to win would be to take more chances in this fight. Take more opportunities to actively go and take shots at Beterbiev. Big time bombs with risk involved. Open up more with combinations. Forego your level of defense to score. You got to. Because what we saw when you didn't, inevitably, Beterbiev caught up to your output and overcame your output as the time went on and beat you through your guard, where you weren't able to have that same level of success as the fight went on. The only way that we can see this even happening, is going to be you have to take more risk. Every single game plan that Bivol has in order to get better in this fight and achieve redemption and to get back the undisputed title would be to take more risk. It would have to be. That's the only thing that I can see. Again, we'll break down the fight later on in totality. You're going to want to be here for that. It's either coming this week or next week. You're going to want to be here for that. But regardless of which, we're looking and we're saying, the last time that you took a chance, you got rocked. You got hurt in round 7 as the tide shifting round in the fight. We're looking at him, and even if you get more defensive, brother, you still going to have to take more chances offensively. If you got better defensively, it would still be, you would have to match or outwork Beterbiev or hurt the brother. And you ain't getting no stronger. You ain't getting more power. You're not. And I'm not saying that as a detriment. You don't need power to be dominant. You don't need power to be great. You don't need power as the end-all be-all. You don't. But in this specific situation, the only thing that can get you a legitimate win is to hurt Beterbiev or outbox him and outwork him. Both of those situations require you, based on what we saw in the last fight, you got to take more risk. And you nearly got knocked out in round 7 when you opened up fully. You're going to have to take that same level of opening up. You're going to have to do that starting in round 5 and ending in round 12. That's the only way. That's the only way you can win. You are going to have to, by round 5, start opening up your offense, and in round 12, sustain it, that same level of output all fight long from round 5 on. And it would have to be that you will outland them and still be safe at the same time, or get a chin that you can take the shot that Beterbiev is going to give you. And based on what happened the last time you got caught, you ain't doing that. You know you can't take that. I don't think you can win. I truly don't think you can win this fight. Unless we see this brother night of the fight come in at 180, 190, and he's got popped like never before. That's the only other way I can see him winning outside of being perfect. You got to be perfect. Your B-ball has to be perfect. If he isn't hurting Beterbiev, he's got to be perfect. If he doesn't hurt Beterbiev, he has to be perfect in his ability to in this rematch. And if he's not, brother getting put out or beaten just the same way as last time. But he can't just be, oh, I just got to improve on the last fight. No, you can't just improve. You've got to fully invest in a level of elevation in your approach to this. It can't just be better than last time. Because better than last time was concrete. Yeah, you got beat. And better than last time, now with a Beterbiev that is fully recovered from his knee injury, he beat you like that with a bum knee. He beat you like that with a healed yet still recovering knee. Had the brace on and everything. Brother, that's fully healed now. That's it. You thought what you saw him walking and stalking with a still recovering knee. You do that with a fully healed knee, my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh, you want to talk about fear incarnate? Oh, I'm horrified. I'm horrified. That's terrifying.
Hey, look at this. We got some problems here. We got some problems here.
We got some problems. If you're Bivol, oh shoot, that's scary. Horrifying. We're gonna see. Again, I'll break it down more. But in the immediate, looking at that fight, Bivol has to be perfect in order to beat Beterbiev. He's got to take risks that he even in the first fight, he regretted. He's got to take risks. He's got to take more risk that he already regretted taking in the first fight because of the damage that was done. Literally stopped in his tracks when he tried to take risk. He's got to do that for potentially 5 rounds. Or excuse me, from round 5 on. If he wants to truly get a win over the likes of Beterbiev or just hurt the brother outright. And I don't know if he can do it. I truly don't think he can do it. Truly. Oh, we got people commenting. Let's see what we got to say. Welch said, John, Bivol showed masterclass defense, but not quite enough offense, even though I would not have complained if they would have given him the victory. Understandable. Again, I had Beterbiev winning because of what he did through the guard all fight long. Outmatched what Bivol did in the inevitable and what showed to be, just like all the other fighters, slowed pace, legitimate damage, and the more shelled up nature of not willing to make the fight. And by willing, I mean he was forced to have to shell up for the second half of that fight because of Beterbiev coming on like a rolling thunder, like a torrential hurricane. Oh yeah. So I thought Beterbiev won justly so, but it was a close fight, don't get me wrong, but it was close with all of those other contextual things, like the injury, like with, again, initially, it could have won because Bivol took more risk, understandable, but now, second fight, fully here, Beterbiev, who knows he can take the power now, and has already won, but knows how to even more precisely deliver damage around the defense of Bivol. And I don't know how much more Bivol can improve on that type of fight that was already, it was a masterclass that he put on against Beterbiev. He just got beat. I don't know what he can do. I just don't think I don't know what he can do. I want to see it. I hope I'm wrong. Not because I got a dog in the fight, but just because, hey, show me something. Absolutely. But I have some doubts. It's not impossible. I just have some doubts, at least for me. But let's see. Could William be another surprise fighter like Bivol? Here's the thing. I think William Scroll is a fighter Bivol was a surprise because everybody only knew Canelo and they overlooked the accomplishments of what Bivol was doing. Nobody cared about the light heavyweight division at that point in time, not because it wasn't good, but because it was not Canelo. Again, before the grander sport of boxing got into the eyes of the public. And so Bivol beating Canelo was not like an old Kovalev. This was a prime Bivol who was at the top of his game. And Canelo, to some degree, underestimated. Again, notice, Canelo didn't try to call out or fight Beterbiev. He could have. He could. Let's not forget that. Let us not forget the fact that Beterbiev was still, I believe, a champion. Beterbiev still was at that point, or if he wasn't a champion, he was one fight away from becoming a champion. Beterbiev still had that 100% knockout ratio. Beterbiev was still pound for pound, and still is pound for pound, one of the hardest punchers in history. He was in step for step with Bivol in terms of this is a mega fight that could happen. Yes, Bivol had the belts, no question. But this fight with Beterbiev, shoot, my gosh. But the reason why Canelo chose Bivol wasn't just because of the titles, but because he's felt like, yeah, I can beat this guy. I can beat him. If I can beat the Smith brothers at a higher weight class, I can beat the likes of Bivol, who ain't got a whole lot of power, who relies on slickness, similar plant, slickness, boxing skill, and IQ, movement around the ring and all that stuff. I can beat that because I've beaten that before. I've beaten Amir Khan. I've beaten Trout. I've beaten Lara. I've beaten the likes of Gennady Golovkin. So I know what power feels like. And he ain't got it. So if I've beaten people that fight like Bivol, and I've taken power that is better than Bivol in the likes of Gennady Golovkin and Sergey Kovalev, oh, I can take on Bivol. I can stop that movement because I've done it before. I can break him down to the body because I've done it before. I can break him as a whole because I've done it before. And he couldn't do it because he overlooked Bivol. A lot of the boxing world did too. William Scroll, different situation. William Scroll's in the same division as Canelo. William Scroll, even with the amateur record of 400 fights on his resume, I don't know how many wins. I just know he's had 400 fights in the amateurs. With all that, again, clarify. In fact, let me make sure. I said it. I wrote it down. I want to make sure that I'm correct on this. Just to be precise. So I'm not giving you any bad discrepancy. Yep. Okay, so William Scroll has had in the amateurs upwards of, as we're loading, is it 400? Is it? He has had. Oh, come on now. Don't do this to me now. Don't do this to me now. I had it. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm not trying to steal y'all wrong. Here we go. Okay, here we go. In the amateurs, William Scroll has had 364 amateur fights before turning professional in 2016. Yes, you heard that right. So 400, a little bit overreaching. 364 fights is what William Scroll has had in the amateurs in his career. That's his amateur pedigree for you. The brother genuinely he's tenured. But the problem is, he's in the same weight class, and he, even at this weight class, it's nowhere close to the level of domination that we saw against the likes of, that we saw with the likes of Dave Morrell. Oh, we got people coming in. Yo, hey, what's good? Dub Whiteside, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in to the show. Glad that you're here. Dub, what's up with you? Glad that you tuned in. Yeah, I'm sorry we started late because had some technical difficulties with the world of cameras and updates and all that stuff. All that out the way. Hence why we're starting at 5 o'clock tomorrow, Thursday. We're going to be here at 12 because everything is up and out and we ain't got to worry about we shouldn't have to worry about no technical difficulties no more. But regardless of which, We here. And I'm glad you're here up late with us. We're going to go through to what, 7 o'clock? Oh, it's almost 7 right now. We still got to do the championship rounds. My gosh, we got to hope. We've been talking about everything. Right now, we're talking about William Scroll versus Canelo, with that fight being confirmed as of today or as of a couple days ago to be the first of the 4 fights on Canelo's next stint in boxing under the banner of Turkey Al Sheikh after the whole debacle with Canelo, Jake Paul, and Terrence Crawford. Oh, that's done. Now it's official. It's happening. Now that it is happening, hey ho, we're going to see mega fights coming down the pipe. But with Scroll going against Canelo for undisputed, because Canelo got stripped, Scroll got the belt. Now they're going to fight to potentially for Canelo to become a is it 2 or 3 time undisputed, or for William Scroll to be a first time undisputed champion. Either way the case may be. Are we overlooking William Scroll is one of the questions that Adam Hurley was saying. And I'm saying I don't believe that we are. Because in the same, even with that amateur background, the same level of domination that we should see doesn't look nearly as impressive, as well as with who we know Canelo is. Watching Scroll, again, we're going to rewatch him again. We're going to study so we can make sure we have all these predictions down when we fully break down the fight later on in the months. But there is starkly a different level of production that has us aptly rating William Scroll correctly in terms of this fight. Not just because many people don't know William Scroll. Those who know William Scroll still aren't looking at him as the highly touted, oh my gosh, big threat. Because even with that amateur pedigree, it's not the same. Now, we could all be surprised. Understandable. But also, in some cases, the cover of the book is the book. We're not judging the book. That is the book. That's what I think we're going to see now. I'm not saying it's set in stone. I'm not saying we could be surprised. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the ability to shock the world. But I'm saying in some situations, we're judging the book isn't judging the book. You're reading the title of the book. That's that in some cases. That's like saying like literally. Like a book that says how to kill. In some cases, could that be something different? Maybe so. But it wouldn't be out the question if a book that said how to kill with a knife on the cover and an actual live crime scene written by a killer, a known killer. Oh, this is probably going to tell me how to kill somebody. And this is not just some sort of deep story in some aspects. It could just be, this is how to kill a man. I'm dead serious. I'm not trying to judge the book. That's what the book says. And the dude who wrote the book killed somebody. So, I don't know what else to read into. I'm not trying to judge it out of ill will, give some preconcerned notion, but that's literally what the book says. So, and everything around it is telling me, hey, something about death is going to happen, and I'm going to learn. So hey, like, not to be morbid. Again, we don't deem killing great or cool at all. The only murder I like is the show How to Get Away with Murder, one of my favorite shows of all time. My gosh, I said we watch those things today. Again, I'm a multifaceted person. I love all types of media and content, old and new. Oh, indeed. How to Get Away with Murder, Columbo, all of that. Love it, absolutely. But regardless of which, again, that's the only type of murder that I do enjoy. But even that sounds bad. Please don't clip this. My gosh, it's going to be, shoot. If people start making edits of this show, if this show gets big enough and people start making edits, I guarantee you there's going to be some out-of-pocket stuff that gets put into some very volatile situations. My goodness. I'm going to use the sound bites galore. It's going to be great and horrible at the same time. But hey, all publicity is good publicity. Ain't that right? Actually, no, that's a lie. But regardless, but I'll take what I can get. If I'm being completely honest, but regardless of which, the point being, William Scroll, I'm not saying he's bad. Doesn't have a lot of power at all. Has a big pedigree. Understandable. I can't find the specific record of that amateur background with him having 364 amateur fights. But even with that being the case, undefeated, but he's got some legitimate skill. We can give all that the credit it deserves and still look at it starkly and say, even with all that on the table, watching this man, there is nothing that gives me credence to say it is highly likely that he will beat Canelo. He may shock us with a good performance, and that would be great. Well, I always want fans to have more people to follow outside of just the bare bones, big time stars. There's just like with the NBA, there's a plethora of talent in the league, but people only care and complain about the finite things. Oh, everybody plays the same way. No, they don't. Everybody shoots threes. No, they don't. Everybody runs the same offense. No, they don't. But because many people don't follow the NBA tightly, they only see the big rhetoric that most big-time pundits say, and they follow the crowd of fans. I'm not calling anybody sheep. I'm not going down that road. But I'm saying it's a tendency. If everybody's saying it, it must be true. And this in this specific vein. So, Tank's great. Everybody loves Tank. If you ain't Tank or somebody else, most Tank fans and just casual boxing fans, I don't say that disparagingly, but casual boxing fans that only know about Tank Davis, which are a lot. If you're not Tank Davis, well, you're a bum in many cases because they don't know who you are. So everybody else gets dumbed down from the standpoint of you're not credible because the masses say they love this guy. They don't know who this other guy is. Hence, this guy's always going to be better than this guy. And this other dude has nothing to offer. That's what we're looking at. And with William Scroll, that could be a possibility. But for somebody that follows the sport as tightly as I can, to be able to give you the best informed opinions, I don't think that's the case. for this specific situation, I don't think that's the case. And I think genuinely, I think he just gets beat. I think he just gets beat. And so, yep, see, agreed. The cover of the book may be the situation. It could very well be exactly what it is. But with all that being said, do we have any more to cover? Because we still got, don't forget, we got the championship rounds covered. Is that about everything? You know what? I think that's about everything. So with that being the case, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the best, one of the best segments of the show. We can now go through and truly do what we do best, which is make the show your own. It is now the championship rounds. Yes, indeed. Make the show your own. Whatever you want to talk about, whether it is the boxing, basketball, sports, the football, the Super Bowl, we can talk about anime, video games, movies, shows, whatever the case you want to do. If I can talk about it, or if it's acceptable, because some of y'all be saying some stuff that's like out of pocket. Hold on now. Hey, wait a minute. So you wrote. I love all y'all, but some people, bro, they be saying some stuff. I'm like, ooh, wait a minute now. We still trying to get sponsored. That's something great. We can talk about everything, but we can't talk about everything. But again, almost everything. We can talk about it and be about it. And so whatever you want to discuss, we can go and essentially make it your own. Make it happen. I'm trying to get this thing out so we can have it up. Oh gosh, I'm spelling rounds wrong. But whatever you want to discuss right now, we can talk about it right now. Whatever comments, concerns, things. Real quick, let me type in this new comment to pin up. I can't talk and type at the same time. See, chat. Whatever you want to talk about now. There you go. There we go. Yeah. Yes, sir. Make sure I'm spelling this right. I'm so sorry. It's talking and typing. If I wasn't talking to y'all, I can do this in a couple of seconds. It is something. I don't know how people. This type of multitasking, I'm great at it. This specific one, though, I got some work to do. Spell it right. All right, there we go. Championship round, yes indeed. We are back and we're here to say whatever you want to discuss. We are live with the championship rounds. It is time Whatever you want to discuss, let's make it happen. Make sure you're on. Also, be sure to like the stream right now. Keep on commenting your thoughts and opinions. Share the show with everybody. We are still going strong. Told y'all I'm gonna give you the best I can with this show. We started late, but we ain't losing any type of energy at all. Trust and believe. But again, we're here to stay. Talk about whatever you want to discuss, and we can make it happen right now. And while in the midst of questions, I'll also talk about some other miscellaneous stuff. Not necessarily miscellaneous, but other stuff to cover and discuss as, to keep the flow of the show going, like the Super Bowl, like the result of the Lakers and AD trade, which I will get into. Absolutely. Let's see what you all have to say on the show today. What percentage chance do you give Bud to beat Canelo? Well, I have Bud beating Canelo at about, what did I say? I think I said a 30%. I think I said either a 20 or a 30% chance to win. It is about, I think it was 20. I think it was a 20% chance to win. And I don't say that out of disrespect. No, it's not disrespect. But we have covered this in the past. The context of what exactly Terrence Crawford is looking to achieve is truly mind-boggling. Excuse me. This is the equivalent of if Roy Jones Jr. moved up to heavyweight and instead of fighting John Ruiz, fought Lennox Lewis in its prime. And if he did beat him, I would be calling him the greatest boxer in history, above Sugar Ray Robinson in a heartbeat, without a second of thinking. I would, because that would be a feat that would be so insurmountable, so incredible, so utterly insane. It would be too great to ignore. That's the equivalent. Somewhat to a little bit to a lesser degree. Some people say maybe say it's right in line, but that's roughly the equivalent of what Terrence Crawford is achieving. Because of that, the likelihood of winning is incredibly low. Because of the physical standpoint, the power, the durability, the genuine threat of getting knocked out, as well as, which people ain't talking about enough, the IQ of Canelo is on par with the likes of Terrence Crawford. It's not like Terrence Crawford just blowing him out the water. It's not like he's just blowing him asunder when it comes to IQ and thinking of the game of boxing. It's not. You don't go from 154 to 175 and win titles without having an insane type of IQ and ring generalship and skill set at your disposal. That is indeed one of the best in the world. You don't get pound for pound by just knocking everybody out with brute force. You get pound for pound because you are technically and efficiently one of the best minds in the sport, coupled with your physical attributes, or in some cases just your technical ability alone. It is not, I'm so serious. We can't look at Terrence Crawford as just completely whitewashing Canelo out of everything, because that's just not true. The IQ and thinking level is right here. It is incredibly close. That you can have. I don't know who you want to have higher. Even with a more and I don't say this out of disrespect, even with the more rudimentary style that we've seen with Canelo, less head movement, aiming to catch and shoot more than anything when it comes to his defensive and countering styles, walking and stalking, less footwork and less use of a vast array of technical ability that he was using at 160 and in his early days of 168 when he was at, in my opinion, the best of the best, like when he was fighting the likes of Gennady Golovkin. Yeah. That Canelo is the best Canelo. That's not this Canelo. It's not. This is a more physically gifted Canelo, a more physically imposing Canelo, but it's not a better Canelo than that. It's not. But it is not something that just, you have nothing on the likes of the mind of Terrence Crawford. No. You saw how much that struggle of a fight was against Madrimov. And this was supposed to be the prime, or it still is the prime, of Terrence Crawford, even at this elevated age. And you saw how much struggle he went up against trying to outthink the likes of Madrimov with that type of style. And we don't view Madrimov as anywhere close to the level of Canelo. I'm not saying this to disparage or put down the performance. It was a great performance, no question. A hotly contested technical affair that Crawford was able to overcome speaks to the nature of Crawford's true ability to outthink his opponent and find a way to win, even when you can't just walk through and run through opponents. It's great. He's an all-time great fighter. Going to be in the Hall of Fame. One of the best of this generation. Is already solidified as one of the 4 kings of boxing. Oh, excuse me. I've already said in the past, if he was amongst that 4 kings era of boxing, he would be that 5th king. Hagler, Hearns, Durant, and Sugar Ray Leonard. Terrence Crawford would be the 5th king in that whole array. He would be of that ilk. He would be seen as one of the monsters that defined that era. He would fall right in line with him. Who would he be? Who would be him? I don't know. But he would belong there, and there wouldn't be a question. That's how great he is. But that doesn't mean that he's just going to walk through the likes of Canelo and just outthink him the kingdom come. No. It is such a closely contested affair in the mental game, in the IQ department, in the technical ability of boxing, that, physical capabilities do indeed take a big grasp on the likelihood of him winning because the technical ability is so tight. So I would definitely say that I have Canelo favored. I know Crawford can win. If he pulls off the upset, phenomenal. And I'm not saying when I say it is a 20% chance, I'm not saying that in the same vein of, William Squall beating Canelo is a low chance. I'm not saying it in that vein. This 20% is a completely different avenue from that 20%. The fact that this 20% shows just how great Crawford is. That gives me more confidence than anything to say that if anybody could pull off this upset and truly shock the world and beat Canelo at his best at 168 in terms of his most comfortable weight class, where he's been dominating everybody and dominated the last person who went and fought from 154 to 168 in Charlo. You saw what happened there, and the only person that I can see that could do this is Terrence Crawford, no question. But I'm also living in reality. It is a low chance. But if it can happen, it's Crawford. And he's got the tools to do it. He's got the tools to do it. And so listen, great breakdown. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Rooting for Bud, but it's an uphill battle. But this is what Crawford thrives on. The whole thing. I heard somebody else say this. This isn't my quote. Somebody else said this. It's not my quote, but somebody else said this. But the whole thing about Terrence Crawford, he has been waiting for this moment to have somebody to test him in a way that he's never been tested before. And he thought it was Errol Spence. And he beat Errol Spence as one of the easiest fights in his career. That was potentially the easiest fight in his whole entire tenure of boxing. It was that dominant. It was so, Errol Spence didn't look like he belonged in the ring. There's been worse opponents that looked like they belonged with Terrence Crawford in the ring that weren't Errol Spence Jr. It was that bad. It was that dominating. And that was supposed to be the crescendo. I got the fight of my life. Wasn't close. This, beyond just the ability to say, I'm getting a payday. He wants to be tested. Show me where my limit is. This is the fight that he's been looking for. It's an uphill battle because it is indeed the biggest test that he could possibly take. And he wants to see if he can get this. He could go for undisputed at 154. He could do all that. But if he can get Canelo and do what Charlo couldn't do and what others couldn't do, brother, that is a monumental type of feat. And most likely we will see the best version of Terrence Crawford from a forced to use truly everything in his tool belt. We saw glimpses of it when he fought against the likes of Sean Porter. We saw a glimpse of him truly going to that different place. He's got that 6th gear, no question. We talked about it multiple times. But we saw him truly go and completely flip it on 10. And the best example against Sean Porter, when he was losing that fight, and he was losing that fight, and within one round, all the work that Sean Porter did, it was as if it was round 1. and Sean Porter was restarting from scratch. And it was so quick of a complete shift that I thought that I truly didn't understand what was happening. I knew, hey, we know he'll turn it up. But this against Sean Porter, who took Errol Spence to the fight of his life, and he turned the tide that quick, that when he seemed like he was just boxing with Sean Porter, and Sean Porter in that fight was beating him on the cards and on my cards as well, and he shifted that quick and got him out of there in the round. In the round, he got him out. The second he heard I'm down, that was one of the few instances where he got to that sixth gear and went 100%. And we didn't even get to see the full breadth of what that whole, for 12 rounds, what that looks like. He's going to have to be on that level. All 12 rounds against, it's going to have to be sixth gear from round one against Canelo. It's going to have to be. It's going to have to be. Because Canelo's got that sixth gear too. You can't, and with this fight, you can't afford to pull anything. We could potentially see the greatest individual, the best of Terrence Crawford in whatever type of effort, win or losing effort. A winning effort or a losing effort. We're going to have to see, and we will see, the best Terrence Crawford that we most likely have seen in his career. Because he's going to be pushed to that level where in this fight, he cannot afford to be anything less. Because he will get potentially washed out if he isn't the very best in that version for 12 rounds. So yeah, it's an uphill battle. My gosh, he wants it. And I want to see it. Because it'll be great. It'll be phenomenal. But let's see. Canelo hit Charlo in the arm. And that man he got on his bike. He ran all 12. The second he got hit in the arm, wasn't even a clean shot to the body. First round. I was watching it with friends. And they were like, brother, this is horrible. And I was expecting fireworks in that fight. Brother, they were so disappointed. I was disappointed. Because Charlo completely, against everything that we said he was, completely nixed it. Completely nixed it. It was egregious. So egregious. I thought it was EJ too. And he beat that man like he stole something. Yeah, he did. He did. Absolutely, he did. And I was trying to throw in the towel for EJ from my house. I was like, brother, stop it. Please stop it, brother. We can't have this happen. He still lived to fight another day. I'm telling you, it was bad. It was bad, but I think more so with Crawford, it was at the point at which, at that late stage in the fight, and he heard objectively, yo, you're behind. That was a different shift even from the EJ fight, from any fight. From any fight that I see. That was a different shift from that. That was a different shift from what I saw when he got knocked down by Gamboa early on in his career. When he beat the undefeated version of Gamboa. That was looking like that was taking the world by storm at that point in time as one of the top fighters in the division. It was even different than that. We'd seen him hurt. We'd seen him knocked down. That against Sean Porter, that was so quick and decisive. It boggled my. I was literally standing in awe because I couldn't believe it. That was a different level of full tilt, going all out, and completely taking, not just beating, taking the essence of Sean Porter and ripping it up in front of him. I couldn't believe it. It was phenomenal. The way he changed that fight when he was down, it was crazy work. I'm telling you, it was crazy work. And Canelo has one of the best chins we've seen in boxing. So it's going to have to be power. And we could see Terrence Crawford's power somehow shock us all when all of a sudden he's stinging and hurting Canelo. If we see that, brother, I'm telling you, the argument for all-time great and GOAT conversation, it's shifting before our eyes. If we see he rocks, let alone knocks out Canelo, oh, that's insane. That would be insane. That would be so out of the realm of plausibility. That's not even in the conversation for how Crawford can win, because we all assume that his power ain't going to be able to do nothing to Canelo, because Canelo fought Gennady Golovkin in his prime twice and fought him 3 times in total and never went down. The biggest time he got hurt was against Miguel Cotto's brother. That was when he was young. Between his prime, that brother ain't been rocked. He's faced off against an opponent that is in conversation for one of the greatest middleweights in history. And pound for pound, one of the strongest middleweights that we've seen in the history of this sport. It's stupid. And he went 3 fights with them. And you go and you knock him and rock him? Crazy. That would be crazy if it didn't indeed happen. If. We're going to have to see. But either way, it's an uphill battle that I want to see happen. I got to see it. September can't come soon enough. My gosh. September cannot come soon enough. But again, real quick, I did put in the title that we do have to talk about a little bit with the NBA. I know we are in the championship rounds, and we're still going to talk about whatever you all want to discuss. That's not changing at all. But I do got to keep my word and keep in line with what we've been discussing. Also, please, if you would, leave a like on the stream. If you would, go ahead, comment your thoughts and opinions, if you would, as you're doing already, and share the show as we're going into the last couple minutes of the show. It helps out the channel immensely, and it helps us continue to build up this empire. And we can't do it without you, so I appreciate all the support. But real quick, again, really quickly, we have to touch on the NBA, because now in the aftermath of what we see with the likes of Luka, AD, and the whole saga that's been going on with the likes of the NBA as a whole, with the trade deadline shocking us all. Well, we can now see who indeed won and lost this trade, because AD in his first game back put up 26 and 14, looked like a menace, looked like a monster, looked like continuing the dominant work that he had been doing for the whole of his tenure on the Lakers this season. Had been playing through injuries, had been healthy. Next thing you know, brother gets an abdominal strain, and he's out for potentially 2 weeks.
Hey, look at this. We got the problems here.
My goodness.
We got the problems here.
It's between 2 weeks and a month. Anthony Davis is out, and there's rumor reports that hypothetically, Anthony Davis could be out indefinitely and going to have to go through career-ending surgery, and is done for the season. And they traded for him. I'm telling you, Nico Harris has gotten threats to his life, has had to put buffed up security. Dallas is in shambles. The Mavericks organization is looked at as has quickly turned into one of the worst organizations in basketball, when it was at one point looked at as one of the better organizations in basketball. Getting Dirk and then Luka back to back, and then trading your corner piece for 10 years away for, with all respect to AD, one of the best stars in the sport, but even still, a brother who is genuinely nowhere close to the level of upside and top 5 status that we see with the likes of Luka, who's been doing that for the last 5 years. It made everybody sick. And now we're seeing with everything that they showed as this is what you can get with Anthony Davis. It's potentially going to be done already within the span of one game. You got 3 quarters of dominant AD. And next thing you know, poof, up in smoke. The rest of the season potentially is done. Right now it's only a week or 2, but it could be extended even longer to a month, and could be even more so extended to indefinitely. The brother cannot play for the rest of the season. Though, on the other side of the spectrum, now we got the Lakers. And yeah, the Mavs making moves like the Cowboys. Look, hey, look now, y'all could get Micah Parsons. You got Micah Parsons. You could get Myles Garrett, hypothetically. I believe Micah Parsons said he would even take a pay cut if it means getting Myles Garrett on that team to help strengthen up that D-line. So y'all could be making moves for the better in the very near future. But regardless of which, as of right now, oh boy, I got some fans in my own family that are Cowboys fans. So I'm not going to speak of ill will. But I will say, oh, it's bad. Hey, look at this. You got some problems. That's the best thing. That's the best thing I can say with that. With that, I'm telling you, it's a black cat. I don't know what's going on down in Dallas. You got upside in one shape or another, and then all of a sudden it just falls through. But on the flip side, in LA, next thing you know, they've gone on what, a 5-game win streak. All of a sudden, well above 500. They're 4th in the West they beat the Knicks without AD before the trade. Then they won without LeBron. a couple games after. And now with Luka on the squad, they put up 132 points in Luka's debut without a center. Now, it was against the Jazz. I understand. They beat the Jazz, what was it, 132 to 113? Understandable. I get it. It was against a bad team, 12-32 in the Western Conference, 14th in the Western Conference. The second, I believe, is one of the worst records in the NBA outside of the Washington Wizards. Oh, they're in rebuild mode and they suck. Absolutely. But with all that being said, my goodness, brother, on restricted minutes, without big-time play, Luka was playing and he put up, 14, 5, and 4 in 24 minutes. Austin Reeves put up 24 points. LeBron was putting up 18 to 20 easily, and like effortlessly. Everybody was playing fluidly. The offense was already what they had in their offense, figuring everything out with J.J. Redick. They already were hitting their stride and beating some of the best teams in the NBA. They beat Boston. They beat the Knicks. Were competitive with Cleveland. Had gone through the Western Conference. Had been running through the ringer. Good games that they were winning, that they were supposed to win, they dominated. Games that were a struggle, it's either been close or they've won outright. This has been in every situation. Games that you're supposed to take and even games that you weren't supposed to win. They won. This is what we've been looking for. This is what we were saying about Darvin Ham. Everybody's saying, was Darvin Ham really the problem? Yes, he was. That brother was a bum. That brother was terrible. That brother was horrible. I despise him with all my heart and soul when it comes to the NBA world. When it comes to the basketball standpoint, he was so abysmal, so utterly inept, so utterly unfit to lead. When it came to the Lakers organization, I was sick to my stomach. He made me truly, and I do mean truly, despise his very existence on the sideline of the Lakers organization, because he himself was the problem as to why this team wasn't working. Mind you, they have relatively all these same core pieces. Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, they had Max Christie, they had Christian Woods healthy, they had Mo Bamba. They had a better rotation of bigs than they had got right now. And still, this team was utterly abysmal when it came to both sides of the ball because of the game planning done by Darvin Ham. Now, without him there, and with less interior help, and even in games when AD wasn't there, they still show that they are actually equipped to be a good organization. And all it took was a brother that knew what he was doing. My gosh, can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? People were trying to tell me that Darvin Ham was good. People were trying to tell me that I was too harsh on that brother. People were trying to tell me that I was just riding on the coattails of the hate train, that I didn't know what I was doing, that I was just bloviating, talking of ill about Darvin Ham, and I didn't know what I was talking about. Brother, you see what's going on right now? If J.J. Redick was the coach now, or if J.J. Redick was the coach in those last 2 years, but they may have gotten past the Nuggets. They got to the Western Conference Finals in that season where they looked abysmal without J.J. Redick. And with bad coaching, they got to the Western Conference Finals. Shows you what that team could be. They got to the playoffs when they looked even worse next season with injuries, with bad coaching. Under the reign of terror, the absolute, the deceitful nature, the utter, not even smile away, standing on the sideline with his hand in his pockets, the inept observer, that was Darvin Ham. Under that regime, under that utter life-sucking leadership, players didn't love him. Players didn't trust him. Players didn't want him there. Yet he still stood and did nothing but say, good on you. Salute to you. Shame on you. You brother, I'm telling you, if you all were here when I was initially talking about Darvin Ham, it was worse than this. It was worse than this how I felt about him. Now you see what they're doing without or with quality help. With quality, not even as much quality help, with legitimate leadership around him. My gosh, they look like a team that's actually competent, don't they? Don't they? Thank you. Thank you, they do. And again, there's still more news to cover. I can't wait to see what Darren Fox is going to do with the likes of Victor Wembanyama and what that next couple of years of the dynasty of the Spurs is going to look like. Oh, it's going to be incredible. Zach LaVine in Sacramento, they said a game winner with DeMar DeRozan. Ooh, that could be something that it could still work out. They ain't going to win a bunch, but they're going to look entertaining. There's competition with veteran leadership and a duo that has played before. This could be something great. It could be good. But the biggest story of the day, at least in the NBA, is truly does the NBA understand what Luka and LeBron can do? Because if I got my reports correct, oh, we got some comments in the work today. Let's see what people. There's Austin Reeves is killing it right now. Respectfully, respectfully, this may work. I'm telling you, it worked with more help throughout the entire roster. This team still was good. Now, when there's a gaping hole, they were still able to do this. Post Luka trade. Before Luka trade, but they were still they were fourth in the East. They were catching up to the Nuggets. They hit their strides, one of the best teams in the entire Western Conference. All of a sudden, this is looking like a squad more and more. They have defense, lateral ability to cover and switch. Their schemes are getting better. Rotations are getting smoother. Their offensive fluidity is now looking like the true identity that J.J. Redick was trying to look for. Austin Reeves is getting more confidence and more ability to build upon what was already looking like a great offensive weapon for the last 3 years. Rui Hachimura's got his shot back because he's able to get in rhythm now. Defensively, he's still, oh my gosh, but now who do you got? Dorian Finney-Smith and Jared Vanderbilt is back. The Vandalorian is here and is wreaking havoc, even in limited minutes. But the only thing that they don't have is a big man. And we've seen small ball work before. Darvin Ham forced small ball on this team, and they still got to the Western Conference Finals. They won against teams with small ball. Remember that. Let's not forget, Darvin Ham implemented small ball, and they still got to the Western Conference Finals on a roster that was not equipped to play small ball. And they still were able to be successful. Now you got a roster that is legitimately post-trade deadline. Ain't a brother under 6'7" outside of Gabe Vincent, outside of Gabe Vincent and Austin Reeves. Ain't a brother under 6'7". The Gig Dalton connect back, though that may be iffy as to his wanting to be there with him being traded and then coming back because Mark Williams was essentially a broken truck that was painted anew. And they hit all the problems up until the actual physical. But they have him back. They have length, strength, shooting, defense, passing ability, the best passing backcourt in the NBA. If you want it, backcourt, frontcourt, I don't know what you want to call it. Duo. They just elevated from this could be the best, this could be arguably the third best duo in the NBA. Luka and AD. Offensively, the system's going to work so cleanly, nobody will know where hit them. There will be such fluidity in this that LeBron can take a back seat. If you need LeBron to play center on this team, well, remember, he averaged 30 under Darvin Ham playing center when they played small ball. Let's not forget that. 38 and 12 at center against Jokic, against Joel Embiid, against Giannis, Brook Lopez. Name a big. Name them. Had one of his best offensive stretches playing at center. It was stupid. Injured, I believe also. So yeah, this can work. This can work. This can more than work. This can be scary. And if I got my sources correct, because I'm doing Twitter as we're going through within the span of I believe 28 to 48 hours, this team is looking to get the likes of a legitimate center come free agency. It's possible. It is indeed possible. We may not have expected it. Many people may have thought it just wasn't going to happen in the slightest. But right now, Right now, my goodness. It is. This is a potential, the very thing that we thought they wouldn't be able to get and garner, they are actually able to garner. The very thing that that we thought was going to be out of their reach is now genuinely in their vicinity. And we're looking at this team, we're saying, well, my gosh, can you believe it? In fact, I'll show you it right now. I'm going on Twitter. Let me share my screen with the public as a whole. Give me one second as we get ready to wrap it up on this phenomenal show. It's been great. We may have started late, but brother, we are still moving up and moving great, moving phenomenally. Here we go. Where's that? Let me show you up. Let me say, I believe it's already here. Is it? Did I spell this right? Yep, I spelled it right. Here we go. Like we always do on this show, giving you the best thing possible. Hey. Get ready for a new perspective. And can I do it? Is it gonna do it? Is it gonna work? Yeah, we'll go. Per Shams, as we're looking right now, it is. Nope, not Gafford. Wait a minute. Ooh, Gafford's got a right knee sprain. Gafford, AD, and Derek Lively all are injured. My gosh. Are you kidding? I told you. It's looking like more and more it's going to be a situation where they're going to struggle. And look, lo and behold, look at that. Didn't I tell you, within the span of 24 hours, they were going to go make a move. And 2 hours ago, after the show was going on, Lakers, Alex Len signs with the Los Angeles Lakers. Len intended to sign with the Pacers, but has decided to land in L.A. Oh, it's happening. It's indeed. Look at that. I told the wrong way. Look at that. I told you. Did I not tell you? We break news on this show. Brother, we are a quality news source, a correct news source. We're going to give you the best stuff possible. And look at that. The very hole that we thought wasn't going to be able to be filled by this season got filled. It's here. Oh, it's fire. It is indeed fire. It is indeed. Where's the thing at right now? I wish I could bring up the thing right now. It is indeed. Where's the thing at? If I can get it, I'm thinking faster than I'm talking right now. Shoot. I am thinking faster than I'm talking at this stage right now. How do I get this thing up? Is it up? Is it moving? Is it? There we go. Okay, yeah. No, it's fire. This is fire. This is indeed fire. Because now the biggest threat is at all of our eyes. The Lakers didn't need a good center. They just needed a center. And now they just got Alex Len, 7-footer, veteran, who's still, I'm not saying he's great, but at 7, was he 7 foot, 7'1", just about? Has been, in fact, I believe he's for his career, averaged 1.5 blocks, decent rebounder, a lob threat, not nearly as athletic as the likes of Mark Williams, but regardless of which, the brother can fill the void of being a legitimate interior presence, help get the boards that now Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Luka, and LeBron don't have to crash as violently. I believe they released Christian Woods, and now you got Jackson Hayes and Alex Len as your biggest big man. Shoot, you signed Dwight Howard. That's your 3-center rotation, and you're set. That's literally all we're asking for. You signed Dwight Howard. You're set in stone. That's the biggest thing. Get Dwight. You get that 3-center rotation, and you legitimately are now fit to go against every single lineup in the NBA. You need Jokic. You got Dwight and Alex Len. You want to go small and be athletic. You got Jackson Hayes. And then you can just put LeBron at center if you want to keep that small ball, athletic, running gun type style. If you want to go big all around, shoot, some teams, they may go 3 big. You can put all 3 of them on the court at one time if you want to. Not saying that's going to happen. But you see the diversity now. Interior presence, external perimeter defense, shooting from Gabe Vincent, legitimate ability to go and have a true depth in your lineup where everybody ain't running ragged, and you're young, And now you're led with the past and the future in LeBron and Luka. Oh, this team is going to be so scary. Because now, this team has everything that they've been looking for. They're built for the now and for the future. And nobody thought that was going to be possible. And we're looking at with LeBron playing like he's playing, with Luka being Luka, and with the rest of the squad looking like a well-oiled machine. Of these last 10 or so games, the West is indeed deep. But quickly, this team is looking like one of the best teams in the West and can quickly become one of the best teams in the NBA in a lot of people's eyes. We thought they couldn't reach Boston. We thought they couldn't reach Denver. We thought they couldn't reach what the Rockets are looking like right now, even though many people don't think the Rockets are going to actually be successful come the actual playoffs. They thought they couldn't reach the Knicks. They thought they couldn't reach most of the good teams in the league. And now, at the drop of a hat, now this team is looking, if this does indeed stay real for the rest of the season and no injuries can't happen, my gosh, fear. That's all you can say. It's fear. Fear for the league, fear for me, fear for you, fear for everybody. It's fear for me, fear for you, fear for the league, fear for Joel Embiid, fear for Jokic. There's not a team in the world that looks at this team and now has them as just, oh, they're just, we can overlook them. Not anymore. Not anymore. I've been saying for 2 years, this Lakers squad, the biggest thing that they needed is simply good coaching and health. And now they got both of that. I said that with Darvin Ham. I said they were equipped to be a championship squad then with what they had at their disposal. And now they're even better off with a leader that they can actually look to and trust. Oh, trust and believe. We're looking at a squad that's going to be one of the most deadly teams, if healthy, one of the most deadly teams in the NBA. By the end of the season, I promise you, you can write it down right now. Come back if I'm wrong. If I'm right though, I don't look for praise, but at least say, hey, you called it. That's all I'm asking. Because I'm telling you, I've been saying this. If this squad gets its act together and makes the moves necessary, and even if they don't make any major moves, just get a leader and a coach that can make this team operate to the fullest capacity, they can take on any squad as is. At that point in time, now they're potentially, you can argue they're better off, both for now and in the future. And they got money to sign a big, or at least another big, a good big, long term, because Luka ain't eligible for a max no more, and LeBron signed as an extension, but they don't take all the money, and they still got Reeves and Rui on contract for roughly 2 years, a year or two more. And Dalton Connect's a rookie. They got him for a while if they don't trade him come off season for another big. And they can also trade for an elite big if they want to, because they still got a draft pick. And Dalton Connect, and now weapons that are disposable yet useful for a lot of different teams. Oh, they got leeway when it looked like they were constricted and they had no way to get out. All of a sudden, the door is open for this season, next season, and the season after that to make a move that shocks the world, that further put this team in an elite situation, that LeBron can still get a title, that Luka can get his first title, and this whole team is built for years to come. And they don't have to sacrifice the now for the future. They can have it both. They can literally have their cake and eat it too. It's insane. It's ridiculous. I can't believe it. But let's see. Defense, rebounding, and taking wear and tear off of Luka and LeBron is perfect. A perfect storm. Now Bron just needs to show Luka how to take care of his body. And Luka already was healthy. We covered this in the last show. Nico Harrison said that Luka was out of shape. And Luka was 170 or 270. Luka at 270 was averaging 35 points a game. Luka at 270 got you to the finals. Luka at 270 was in the conversation for MVP. Luka at 270 was at one point in time averaging 40. Luka at 270 put up 70 points against the Knicks. Luka at 270 was the only reason you were even competitive in the Western Conference. Luka at 270 has more first team all NBA nods than Steph has in his entire career. That's a fact. I'm not trying to give you anything that ain't true. That's a fact. Luka's got more all NBA first teams than Steph has in his entire career. And Luka's been in the league for 7 years. Been an all-star for about 6. He's been one of the top 5 players in basketball. And there has been a stark gap between him and whoever is behind him. He's the only reason that Dallas was able to be what they were. He was the only reason that did that. Derek Lively was looking like a threat that he was. That Daniel Gafford became such a viable asset in the eyes of many NBA fans. He was making centers look like he had the Chris Paul effect. The same thing that Chris Paul did for DeAndre Jordan. Even for Ryan Hollins, who also wasn't great at all. For a bunch of centers in the league. He made them look great because of his ability to get them open, because of the gravity. And they're always on-time decision-making. That's what Chris Paul did in the Clippers. That's what Luka did on Dallas. While averaging 32 plus. 32, 8, and 9 at one point in the season. At one point in his career. And that was out of shape. You don't trade that. Now, if Luka gets on LeBron's regiment, because Luka was already paying for $1 million+ out of pocket for, not $1 million, but already paying for his own nutritional team and all that stuff for his own health. LeBron puts him in on new stuff to help him get even better equipped. Oh, watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. In the words of Taz from our WWE fans out there. Watch out, because brother, it ain't coming from out of nowhere. This ain't an RKO coming from out of nowhere. This is a straight up boot to the face that you know is coming. This is a claymore. This is a spear, a gore. Whatever era of wrestling you want to talk about, that big move is coming. It's coming. And there ain't nothing you can do to stop it now, if that is the case. Mark my words, NBA needs to be afraid. I'm afraid. Because this is the equivalent of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird playing with each other. This is that equivalent in the modern day. We've never seen that before. We've seen in terms of imagining those two equivalent of legends playing with each other. We haven't seen that until today. We had never seen somebody like Steph and KD. That was a new one. Never seen that before. We've seen the likes of Shaq and Kobe with other duos, Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry West and Wilt, even though it was an older Wilt Chamberlain. We've seen many types of duos. We've even seen a version. We've seen versions of Jordan and Pippen to way lesser capacities. We've seen them. This Larry Bird and Magic Johnson playing together on the same team. And in this case, it's a 25-year-old Larry Bird that is Luka. And it's older, but still in his prime Magic, or in anything, a better version of Magic in every single way possible. Whose best asset is still passing, but can still give you 30 against anybody possible. And is the greatest, or is the leading scorer in NBA history that's still giving you 24 to 30 points a game, just had 42-18 or 42-17 and 8. Only other person to score 40 at 40 years old since Jordan, and blew that performance out the water that Jordan put up in that incredible game. Everybody be afraid. Be afraid and witness. Just witness greatness. It's like, just witness. Don't hate. Witness this. Because this is the shift that we may never see again. This is a moment in time that we may never see again. This whole saga, we may never see this again. And I will never hate it. I'll just appreciate it. Absolutely. Well, where would you rank Luka versus all-time great players LeBron has played with, i.e. Kyrie, Wade, etc.? He's better than Kyrie. In terms of what we expect and what we know Luka is, he's better than Kyrie. That's not even a question. That's not a question. He's better than Kyrie in every way. Kyrie has never been a top 5 player. Kyrie's never been a top 3 player. Kyrie has never single-handedly led his team to the finals. Kyrie got to the finals because of Luka. Not disparaging the weight that Kyrie played. No, Kyrie played the same role that he played when they got to the finals with LeBron. Incredible. Love it. By himself, never. As the main leader, never done anything. Again, I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm saying that as that's what he did. By himself, as the main driver. Was never the guy that we saw was leading the squad to final success. Was never a top 10 player. Was never a top 5 player. Was never a top 3 player. Was never in MVP conversations. He just wasn't. So Kyrie is not on Luka's level in the slightest. I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I have to be objective. This is the truth. He's better than Kyrie. He's not. I'm not going to say he's better than Dwayne Wade. Because we know what Dwayne Wade is and was and what he became. What he was before LeBron. And if injuries and age hadn't taken a hold, he could have been that for a lot longer. And that Dwayne Wade was ridiculous. That was a Dwayne Wade that averaged 35 in the finals. Or 32 in the finals with Shaq. An old Shaq. A Shaq that was breaking down incredibly quickly. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say he's better than that. And I need to see how he performs in the world or in the absence of AD. I expect it to be better. But again, I can't say for certain where he ranks above. I can say at this point in time, it would be most likely Wade as the best, AD as the second best, Luka at this point as the third best, and then Kyrie as the fourth best. Because there's a different, that's the talent pool. But it could be that he shoots up above AD. Hypothetically, it could happen. If he plays at top 5 level status, like he's been playing for his entire career, for this team, yeah, there's an argument he could eclipse the likes of AD. And AD was playing some of the best basketball he had ever played. AD won a championship with his brother. AD was averaging 13 and 4 this season. Had been one of the best defensive players, and at this point in time was looking like the best defensive player for the past 2 years, while giving teams 42 and 20, 30 and 30, 15 and 3 blocks. Was looking like an offensive powerhouse that we've been expecting him to be for the whole of his career if injuries weren't a problem. And we saw him starting to play healthy, playing 70-plus games, 65-plus games over the last 2 seasons. Yeah. Yes, he's a menace. But he was never on Luka's level, and we all knew it. And if Luka can play up to the caliber, oh, yes, indeed, he can eclipse him. It's entirely possible. We'll have to wait and see. But it's entirely possible. But based off of sheer expectations of what they were as players and what they played, because Luka's the only buddy we haven't seen play for for more than 10 games. Give it some time. But just off of what we know about Luka now, Wade, AD, Luka, Kyrie, in my humble estimation. And he can shoot up relatively quickly. If he plays like we know Luka can play, we'll have to wait and see. But all that more we'll talk about next week, we'll talk about that more this week and tomorrow. We still got stuff to cover. We don't want to give everything away. And it's all going on 8 o'clock. We got to shut this down. So again, thank you for tuning in and thank you for listening. And with all that being said, this has been another episode of The Watchable with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. Absolutely. We appreciate you all joining me on this later edition of the show. Again, we're going to be back on Thursday to cover the world of sports again right here at 12 o'clock. 12:15. But we ain't going to go. No, we ain't going to have no problems like this anymore. Mark my words. I guarantee you. I'm going to promise you that. I'm going to give you the best I can. We're going to be here. More action, more news, more debates, more topics, more boxing, more basketball, and everything else in between. Thank you for the love, for the phenomenal show. I'm glad y'all made this show great. I just did my due diligence to give you the best stuff possible. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We're out of here. See you all on Thursday. Yes, indeed. We'll be back here 12 o'clock. This podcast is going to be on Spotify and every imaginable podcast possible. Go on and like the stream before you leave to help, give the algorithm a little bit of love. Those your reactions, all that stuff. Share the show and get people involved who want to see. Hey, watch this. You don't want to miss what this brother's got going on. We're going to keep building this community. We're going to keep loving each other. We're going to keep making this the best that we can be. Make this the hottest show on all the globe. All thanks to you and your support. So much love. Peace to you. See y'all on Thursday. And we getting out of here. My gosh.